There we go. You shaking your head? And I think we heard recorded in progress.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is a regular monthly meeting of the Princeton Historic Preservation Commission being held virtually on this day, which is Tuesday, May 26th, 2026 at 5 p.m. You're not in any of those places. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice and time and place of this meeting has been noticed by transmitting a copy of the agenda to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, the Times of Trenton, by filing a copy with the Clerk of Princeton, posting on the municipal website and their agenda center, and by posting on the official bulletin board in the Princeton Municipal Complex at 400 Witherspoon Street in Princeton. Sarah, do you want to do the roll call?
Absolutely. Uh, Mr. Shatskin,
Here.
Miss Howard,
Here.
Miss Capozzoli,
Here.
Miss Friedman,
Here.
Miss Kroll,
Here.
Miss Kozebnikova,
Here.
Miss Satterfield is joining later but is currently absent, and Chair Sure.
I am here.
We have quorum.
Thank you very much. Sarah, do we have any announcements to start with?
Not currently, outside of the upcoming Historic Preservation Conference on June 17th and 18th, a statewide conference. Please register if you are interested.
So who's registered? I'm registered for just one day, the second day.
I'm registered for one day as well.
Yep, me too.
Me
Second
too.
day.
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, hi,
Me
lady.
too. New hat, Leighton.
Okay, well, let's get to business. We have some minutes to approve. I saw Roger's corrections earlier. They look great. I wish I was that good an editor. Do we have any other comments that people want to make, or corrections or suggestions?
I'll move to approve the minutes
Thank you.
as corrected.
As corrected. Very good. A second?
Second.
Does that recall roll call, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Shatskin,
Yes.
Miss Howard,
Yes.
Miss Capozzoli,
Yes.
Miss Friedman,
Yes.
Miss Kroll,
Yes.
Miss Kozebnikova,
Yes.
Chair Sure.
Yes.
Minutes have passed with edits.
Very good. All right, so we move on to some resolutions which were previously distributed. The first one we want to review or to what exactly are we doing? We've already passed a resolution on these. We're now saying that the resolution as written is correct, or
We're memorializing the resolution
Memorializing.
for
Thank you.
yeah.
all right.
9
So the
Mercer
first
Street.
one was that project at 9 Mercer Street, which was the replacement of 11 windows, I believe, on
the
the
only
top
one.
floor. That's our only one for that.
Yep.
All right. So again, a roll call vote.
Motion
Motion.
first.
I'll
I'll
move.
move it. Oh,
I
I'll
heard
second.
Emily first,
I'll
and who
second then.
seconded? Roger said it louder. Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Shatskin,
Yes.
Miss Howard,
Yes.
Miss Capozzoli,
Yes.
Miss Friedman,
Yes.
Miss Kroll,
Yes.
Miss Kozebnikova,
Yes.
Chair Sure.
Yes.
The resolution is memorialized.
Okay. Let's get on to our applications tonight. So the first one is having to do with 405 Basin Street, which is installation of solar panels, as we all saw in our package. Do we, whoever's in charge of this, want to bring the applicant into the meeting virtually?
do that? Hello, Amit.
Hello.
Who else is presenting for this application?
I actually don't know. I'm the owner, so but there should
Oh, I-
be somebody from the company, Venture Solar.
I have a phone number on here who I don't know who that is for.
There's an Alexander Yackery. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. Hmm.
And there should be someone from Solar. Mm, I don't know what Sutmer Technicals is. Whoever else is representing the applicant, can you please raise your hand? No one from Venture Solar?
Should we come back later?
Yeah, I'm sure we can come back later.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'm
So-
just gonna put you back as a attendee, Amit.
Mhm.
Actually, I don't, no, thank you, Ian.
So we're going to move on to the application for 188, 194, or actually 190, 192 Nassau Street. The larger number was the name of the LLC that owns it. And it's replacement of slate shingle roof with Da Vinci synthetic slate. It's in the Central Historic District. And you want to bring them into the meeting, please?
Yes.
Good evening, Andrew. Whoa, I'm getting an echo. My apologies. Andrew Schrager, attorney for 188-194 LLC.
Are there other people with you or is it just you presenting, sir?
That's me tonight, sir.
Okay, I'm having a little trouble hearing.
Sound, yeah, that's very.
I'm getting an echo. Hold on.
There's actually two listed in the attendees, so I don't know. Maybe if you have to hang up
Oh.
on one or close out
Oh,
of
there
one.
are?
Yes.
That could be why.
Let me
Can
see
you
if I can
delete one of me?
remove. All right, try now.
How are we doing now?
Much better.
Yeah, I must have hit it twice. I apologize.
Mm.
No worries. I think we,
So Lisa, do you want to,
I won't be swearing in Mr. Schrager since he's the attorney of record.
oh, right, I'm sorry, I forgot that detail.
That's okay.
Good style,
Mhm.
nice
That's
thing.
okay.
All right, so Mr. Schrager, what we do is we usually have the applicant present the project kind of in summary terms. And then we're gonna ask our Historic Preservation Officer, Sarah Quinlan, to give us some of the highlights of the report she's written and the concerns we should be thinking about. And then the commission members will discuss it. So if
Understand.
you're ready to go, we're ready.
Yeah, this is a simple application. We are trying to replace the roofs on both 190 and 192. These roofs are over 40 years old. The valleys are deteriorating. There's rusting and leaks. The roof tile that is selected, the Da Vinci synthetic slate, will match the roof on 188 Nassau Street, which was done, I believe, in March of 2025 and approved by this commission in March of around that time. As I said, these roofs are over 40 years old, and in significant state of disrepair and need to be replaced. I
Okay,
think you've seen the pictures. You obviously have the report of Miss Quinlan. It seems to be a straightforward application in this regard.
okay, and I understand that some commission members went in to see the actual materials at the office in the past several days, so at least some of us are familiar with them.
Because this is the same roof tiles that is used, as I said, on 188, and they will match.
Correct. Is there anything else we should know about the project?
No,
All
pretty
right, Sarah.
straightforward.
Mhm. Sarah, do you want to give us kind of your take and review? We lost Sarah.
Disappeared.
May I ask a question while we're waiting? 192 is currently asphalt shingles, the roof? No? Am I building too far over?
Don't know.
I think it's slate.
Slate, I think it's slate.
I think it's slate. I looked at it yesterday. And so I looked at the
Apologies.
building that's next to it that was done in 2025 versus this one on the application. Just kind of to see, but 2025 is a little bit recent, so I can't really tell how it's aging. So one thing that I noticed, which was just really just an observation, is that if you look at the Da Vinci product versus like slate, so Da Vinci product does not have any variation in color. So it's all completely uniform versus natural slate is going to have some color variation. So that's you don't see that in the Da Vinci product. So that's the only comment I have.
There's
Okay,
Sarah's
sorry.
report.
Sorry about that, guys. It's my staff report here, sharing my screen. As we discussed, this is in the Central Historic District. It is a type 2 district, so it's subject to preservation plan review for any changes visible from the public right of way. So there are two buildings sort of in question here. It is 190 and 192 Nassau. Initially, 190 and 192 Nassau was a duplex house that had mirrored bay windows and a shared porch. That changed over time with the movement of the brick building at 192 Nassau being moved in front of the original 192 post 1940. So there have been changes in the massing of these buildings, but the setback for the original 190 to 192 Nassau is still intact. Of the three buildings, 190 seems to be the most with historic integrity. It still retains the slate roof. Let me get back up to my notes, actually. This block of Nassau Street underwent a number of changes from the mid to late 20th century with the alteration of historic houses for retail use, the construction of small retail buildings in front of historic houses, as well as the demolition of historic houses and subsequent construction of larger commercial properties. Although the form and massing of 190 to 192 Street has changed with the addition of the two-story brick building and the loss of the central porch, 190 Nassau still retains its residential setback and appears to retain a higher level of material integrity. The proposed roof shingles are not of in-kind materials, and therefore this constitutes a change in material to an architectural feature visible from the public right-of-way. This is only in reference to 190 Nassau. 192 Nassau, the brick building, is currently clad in asphalt shingles. But 190 Nassau would be a change in material from the slate. So I have in my comments recommendations that staff finds the proposed project generally retains the historic building's use building's historic use, features, and spatial relationships, as well as the overall historic character of the property that qualifies it as a contributing resource to the Central Historic District. Staff recommends that the commission consider the follow while conducting their review: whether the proposed project meets the Secretary of the Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties, whether the proposed project is appropriate to and compatible with the existing structures and landscape of the Central Historic District, whether the proposed project would adversely affect the ambiance, character, and appearance of the Central Historic District, whether the proposed project preserves or enhances the historic architectural value and character of the structure, whether the proposed project would adversely affect the exterior architectural features and setting of the structure, as well as historic and architectural character, and whether the installation of Da Vinci's synthetic slate roof shingles on 190 Nassau meets the conditions of a substitute material that matches the same shape and size of the original roofing shingles as outlined in our ordinance 10B 386 3BV, or I guess 5. I do also have the samples here of the Da Vinci slate.
We can't see that, Sarah, if
I am sharing my screen.
it's up there. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So as Maria said, there's no variation in the color. And is there a color choice on these also? There's a green and a gray, I think. And
there's a number of colors. There's a couple of different shades of gray. There are also some browns I've seen. I don't know how much variation you get in the individual shingle, like we would see on the natural shingle that gets with age.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much of any variation.
what color they're choosing?
It's the castle gray is what they're choosing, which is existing on 188.
Got it.
Which that building was also built in the 80s.
Something I wanted to bring up, and I don't know whether this is an appropriate moment or not, because we have another project under consideration later on, also with the Da Vinci, the replacement with the Da Vinci tiles. I just sort of wondered, because I feel like, maybe those are really quite connected. So that's a house on Prospect, one of the eating clubs on Prospect. And I just wonder because, like yesterday I walked down Prospect and I think most of the buildings there actually have the slate shingles. And a lot of them sort of look not very new, let me put it this way. And I just wonder whether we're going to have like a lot of, whether this is coming our way, whether we will have like this total replacements by the synthetic product, on Prospect Avenue in the future as well. So I just wanted to bring that up as well, because, we have this 190, 192, but then we also, this product is also proposed for Prospect as well. And I think most of the eating clubs on Prospect actually have slate shingles currently.
Do we know how old the slates are on 190?
It's over 40 years old.
Slates should last longer than that, I think.
Sarah, had you finished your report?
Yes.
Okay. So commission members, we're starting with the questions. Thank you. Remember, I can't see you guys that well, so I can't tell when one of you has a question or a thought you want to bring up. So please just ring in or even comment that you don't have any questions right now. That would be helpful. I think that Maria's question is spot on, and I have to actually think about Clifford's research. Or are the eating clubs kind of all maturing at about the same rate, same time of construction, or are they vastly different? But you're right, we could have a lot of these questions and it could change the look of that area. But that's for the conversation later. But back to this property, I think one of the questions somebody was asking, but I'm not quite sure I understood it correctly. Is there, and I don't know the product, so is there ability to have mixed Da Vinci slates to give a look like some of the buildings that are where the slate variation happens? Is there a ability to mix them or not? And I don't know the answer to that.
Roger, you're muted.
Sorry. Their literature claims that there's variation in the color, and it's hard to see in a small sample. But you know, I assume it's like processed hardwoods. The patterns repeat after a limited amount of time. Um, it's not bad. In this case, we're gaining one building. One building we go from asphalt to Da Vinci, and the other we go from slate to Da Vinci. So I'm not sure how that sits with people.
What is the expected duration on the Da Vinci tiles?
Forever.
Forever? Is it like what's the warranty on the Da Vinci tiles? I mean, there has to be some kind, like I know I looked at their website, but I don't recall.
Yeah, plastics can disintegrate. I mean, yeah, they can do all sorts of things with ultraviolet light, with all sorts of conditions.
And this may be something we learn at some more of the conferences we attend. What I've been thinking about this a lot lately is the replacement materials that are coming up. Are there kind of case histories of some of the materials, or are there certainly I'm sure that the product manufacturers and any representatives they might have at a conference would maintain that the thing is going to be perfect forever. But even just looking at the chemistry of the manufacturer would probably tell us something if you have that knowledge. And I don't. I know there are people that can read that kind of stuff and say, oh yeah, that's going to be susceptible to fading or whatever. But we don't have that background. So it's like all decisions are hard.
Right. So it seems that, from their website is that they have a 10-year material warranty, I think. So that's against manufacturing defects. But then supposedly it's about a 50-year warranty period. I mean, I don't know how exact that is or how correct that is.
Right.
So,
Well, when was it? Do we know when it was invented? When it was first? I mean, it may not have been 50 years.
yeah.
Kind of an academic question. I would be very interested to know if there are similar to testing labs for strength of materials. Is there any kind of testing lab that you watch a television commercial for a car that's been through a storm or a car wash or many miles, and they've simulated or calculated what the performance should be at that point. I don't know if they have that for these materials yet or any kind of testing like that, but it'd be something interesting for us all to learn so that we can get some of these products before us. I know we're going to be discussing probably next month another substitute material for siding, and Sarah and I have been trying to quiz at least the literature to find out what we can about its durability. So here we go. We got the same kind of situation.
Yeah. So it seems like, the first roof presumably was installed around 2001, 2002. So, I mean, nothing has lasted 50 years yet, so we don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But slate usually lasts about 100 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused on here.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe 80, 90. We had a slate roof that lasted about 90 years.
Well, and a lot of times with a slate roof, repairs happen along the way. So I don't know if this roof has had repairs and they failed, or what's the problem?
Might you know that, Mr. Schrager? Or
I know that there has been a lot of, I don't know if you have the pictures in front of you. There's some window gables and some valleys. And that's where there's a significant amount of leakage around those valleys and around the window gables. That's where the failing is most significant. And a lot of significant rust on the, I don't know if you have there's a picture, I'm gonna look at there's 4 window gables that are there's two chimney stacks on the roof, and it's around those valleys and things that's the most problematic. There's some if you look at the pictures, there's also some slate tiles that appear to be missing over to the, you twist that picture, well, it's over to the left along the edge. There's some, it's hard to see, but there's some appear to be some missing there. The valleys between behind this what's supposed to be a tree, where the 2 buildings come together is what I understand to be the most problematic part, where the valleys come together, and there's a lot of leakage there because there's some breakage. There's that's where the ice forms and it causes problems. Again, this is to match the building that is to the left of this one at 180, which is that building right there. Thank you for whoever did that. It's the same tile.
but 190 is currently asphalt, or is
Asphalt, yes. The other one's asphalt. You can't see it from here, but
no, but the one we're looking
that one right there.
is asphalt. The one
Yes,
we're looking at was slate.
correct.
Okay.
All 3 of these buildings would end up matching.
So I guess I'm not sure why one would not simply repair the original slate and then, on the asphalt roof, perhaps use the synthetic. But
Yeah, the idea is that it would all match. The slate may not match what we can get in the synthetic.
yeah.
And the slate is much more difficult to maintain, and it's much more difficult to install.
Well,
But it just, Charlotte, you were proposing repairing the slate,
right.
not a completely new slate roof.
No, there's no reason, to me, there doesn't seem to be a reason to tear off all the slate and put on new synthetic material when you could repair that and then do the synthetic slate on the asphalt roof. I don't see the necessity of matching, but perhaps someone thinks differently. What do you all think?
I don't think it needs to match. I mean, the whole point of that is that there is some variation, and that's fine.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see the construction dates are so different that, yeah, I don't know why you would need to match them.
And I think it would be preferable to keep the slate if possible.
I mean, it's quite visually apparent, right? It's a 1-story building.
Right.
The roof is quite visible. So.
Rita, have you offered some thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think I agree with what the others have said. The roof is about half the fascia of the building, and I don't see a reason for replacing it. I think it could be repaired. And I think one of the questions we asked was, has it been repaired before? But I don't remember getting an answer to that.
Yes, a number of times.
Hmm.
But isn't that kind of the jargon with a historic building that, I mean,
Here,
uh,
but at some point, I mean, a historic building loses its use if it can't be repaired cost effectively and efficiently. I mean, I don't, I, obviously I'm a lawyer. I don't know how to repair the valleys and the areas that are up against those windows, or the valley between the
Right.
two things. If you have to remove flashing that goes underneath the slate, and you have to rip up all the slate, you're basically starting over.
I think there are a number of slate roofs in Princeton that have been repaired
Yeah.
over decades. I don't, I think it's um
How about while we all contemplate that for a minute, we see if there's any members of the audience that want to comment.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
have one hand raised. Dominic, I am going to move you up to a panelist so you can speak. Dominic?
Sorry, I'm muted. How are you guys? Um, my name's Dominic Varello with ACG Roofing and Sheet Metal. We're the contractor on 33 Prospect that's up. And we've been doing like the synthetic slate for a while. So I was like, I just had my hand raised to answer a couple of questions. But while I was there, I was on Google Earth, and the roof at 188, or no, 190 is the one that's not done. From the street view, looks to be 70 years old. It's a it's a Pennsylvania black slate roof that has a lot of brown and discoloration that's showing that it's far older than 40 years. Um, that's my 2 cents. But um, I forget who looked it up, but the 50-year warranty is um, what they go with. The 10-year contractor thing is just, to shorten the lifespan of the synthetic manufacturer's warranty. We've been installing them since like 2010, 11, and the early years of those being manufactured, the issues that I remember were buckling and curling like you would expect a plastic would in the sun. But Da Vinci, what we're proposing, and what 190 to 92 Nassau is proposing, has like eliminated that issue. And I believe, I forget whether it was David or Roger who had a question about variations
Yes.
in color. It's hard to say. I mean, you can always buy two different colors, right? If you buy a gray and a black, they do have a peppered pattern that looks more natural. So, uh, I mean, there's it's worth looking into. I was actually surprised that this is the first time that you guys were discussing this, because I was coming on to ask what products you had approved in the synthetic realm, because most historicals have it. Not that, not that you would operate under theirs, but it's just becoming more and more popular, like you guys said. So, I'm not gonna. You guys have to do your own thing with your bylaws and your handbooks and everything. But that was just my 2 cents on the conversation you guys were having.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic.
All right. Anybody have a feeling what kind of motion we should propose, where we want to take this?
I think we should move to repair the slate on the original slate on 190 and to replace the asphalt with synthetic slate on 192.
Anybody
That sounds reasonable.
Is that a motion?
Quick question for Sarah, with if there's a repair to 190, would the applicant have to come back to the HPC?
I think in the past we've done it as a modification, that they'd have to update their application, and then they'd get once the resolution is memorialized, they'd get the condition of approval in the resolution is that they modify the application to repair the slate rather than replace it.
And they wouldn't have to come before the HPC again. It would just be
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, if they meet that condition.
gotcha.
back to Emily's question, was that actually being proposed? What Charlotte said, is that being proposed as a resolution,
As a motion.
as a motion?
As a
Yes,
motion
sorry.
for a resolution.
Thank you. In other words, is there a second to that, or do we want to keep discussing?
I'll second it.
Okay, so this is a motion to modify the preservation plan as a condition of approval to repair the slate on 190 and to replace the slate with Da Vinci synthetic as proposed on 192 Nassau. Roll call vote. Mr. Shatskin?
Yes.
Ms. Howard?
Yes.
Ms. Capozzoli?
Yes.
Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Ms. Kroll?
Yes.
Ms. Kozevnikova?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
It is passed as modified with conditions.
All right.
Just as a point of information, I think we did approve the Da Vinci tile on at least one project somewhere, and I'm racking my brain trying to remember. I was thinking maybe Josh Zinder's project on Witherspoon Street, but I'm not convinced that's correct. But somewhere along the line, we did do that.
Yeah, it's not new to me, but I can't remember what project, and I don't think our records are cross-referenced that way to be able to pull it up.
Mr.
Okay.
Schrager, do you have any questions?
I do, but I don't think they're appropriate. I mean, part of the problem is the eventual cost to repairing this. I don't know what that's going to be, and it may be cost prohibitive to repair it, or and I can't comment on that. It makes,
Right.
we come to the commission, there's no reason for us to want to replace it if it can be repaired more efficiently and more economically. Based on my information, unfortunately, the economics of it is that this is the most efficient and best way to repair it and maintain the building as a whole, going forward. And keeping it in consistence with the two buildings. Now you're gonna get two buildings on both sides of 190 that are gonna look the same, and 190 is gonna be different. I think
That's
that-
not problematic though for,
well, it is, visually it may not be, but for maintaining the building, it may be. And this is a retail and office building that if it's leaking or it's not able to be repaired on a cost efficient basis, it may not be rented. People may not want to rent it.
May I ask a question, David? Economics is not in our purview though, correct?
Correct.
I mean, it, yeah.
Sarah, do you want to comment on that as well?
They're not in our economics is not in our purview. I think I kind of made it clear in my report that these, although they're connected, these are three separate buildings from three separate building periods. So having them all kind of match isn't necessarily something a condition we would want to meet. That's also not how the standards are outlined. And if there has been cases where we always say every case is different. So if we approve Da Vinci slate synthetic shingles on a different building, but maybe that building didn't have an existing slate shingle roof, there could be a number of conditions of why we did that. In regards of how we move forward from here, I don't know how you would like to address this, Mr. Schrader, that
Well, I
draw the application, revise it.
If we have to come back and revise the application for 190, or we have to come back and redo it, I can't say. If there's a different kind of slate or a different kind of synthetic that the owner would consider, that would more match the slate, I'd have to go back to the contractors and the roofing specialists and determine that is. But I mean, we'll take it for the time being. At least we can get 192 done. I know, I don't know how else to address it at this point, because I don't know the cost. I mean, while you say the cost isn't in your purview, it's a factor for the ownership to determine what the next step is.
Would it be helpful to the commission to obtain more information about a little bit more information from the applicant about the age of the roof and the prior history, and I guess the nature of maybe more specificity with reference to the nature of the issues? Would that be helpful to the commission?
No, I mean, honestly, I don't think that's relevant though, really. I mean, I'm just trying to stick to our, what is our charge and to the integrity of that.
Yeah, but I guess one is it relevant whether or not it can be repaired? I guess that's, if the slate roof can't be repaired, then I guess we don't really have facts. I mean, we have, I don't know if
I agree with you, Ms. Maddox. And, everything can be repaired theoretically, right? It's a cost. Part of it is practicality of, it may be that in order to repair it, has to be completely replaced. Every slate has to come off and a new slate has to go on. That's not a repair. That's a replacement. And yes, cost goes into it to determine whether it's repairable, economically repairable. Economic viability is whether it's repairable. If 80% of the tiles have to come off in order for it to be repaired, in order to stop the rust, stop the leaking, put the new channels in, put the new flashing around the windows and around the chimneys, is that the best the best way of managing this building?
Well, perhaps, Mr. Schrager, that those could be questions that could be answered and come back to us with those answers. I mean, it doesn't seem profitable to guess on those. I think we're all guessing on that right now.
I understand that. I'm just,
Right, and I
I'm not
also
sure based on the, I don't mean to be, I'm not trying not to be argumentative with you. Please don't misunderstand. But I'm not sure how that, I mean, if I come back and say we have to take off 80% of or 85% of the roof in order to repair it, will that make a difference? I'm not saying that you need to answer that right now, Ms. Friedman. I'm just saying, hey, if you want to adjourn this part of the application, so for the next meeting, I'm sure certainly I could get some more information along those lines. I just don't.
and
Mr.
don't
Strick,
wanna-
can I just interrupt and state on the record the conditions that are referenced in my report of what are the conditions that this is reviewed under? And I can share my screen as well. So the Secretary of the Interior Standards states that number 6, deteriorated historic features will be repaired rather than replaced. Where severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature, the new feature will match the old in design, color, texture, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features will be substantiated by documentary and physical evidence. And similarly, in our ordinance, original siding and roofing material should be maintained or repaired, and if replacement is needed, it should be of the same material and size. If the same material is not available, a substitute material should be of the same shape and size. These are what the criteria for review of preservation plan applications, not the cost and the repairs.
I understand that. But if you go back to the prior one, if you can bring up the first thing that you cited.
From the Secretary of
Yes.
The Secretary's thing.
Am I sharing the right screen?
I don't see anything right at the moment.
Hold on, let me try that again. How about now?
Nope.
What the heck?
Did you see something, Mr. Schrager, in the guidelines that you had a question about?
I did, but I'm trying to. I started to write it down, but then I didn't get the full quote in there.
I do think it's pretty clear, but
It's showing sharing on my end. I don't know why it's not working. It's also, if you reference my report, they are linked. The Secretary of the Interior Standards are linked in my report.
yes, it was.
Well, give me one moment, please.
Still nothing?
I'm just clicking on your links.
Okay.
If you give me a second here, I apologize. What number were you using? What?
Number 6 under standards for rehabilitation.
I guess my question is how does a commission like this one, I guess this is a question for council really, is it says where the severity of the deterioration requires replacement. How does a commission like this determine the severity of the deterioration that requires replacement?
I think there would have to be testimony from the applicant to provide that level of information. Otherwise, because what I'm hearing is that I don't know if the HPC, if the commission has enough information to make this determination.
Okay.
So therefore, that's why I think they're hesitant to approve anything more than a repair. There would have to be proof that they can't be repaired. And that would come from the applicant. And then under the let's see, I'm going to go into the section 386, bouncing around the different sections here that Sarah just brought up. If you look at them in conjunction, it kind of lays out the standard. Thank you. So where it says,
Forever.
let's see.
I was referencing this one.
Yes, 5. Right. The original site and roofing here should be maintained and repaired. And if replacement is needed, it should be of the same material and size. So that would have to be in kind. And if the same material isn't available, so that would mean a slate roof, essentially your slate roof replacement is not available, then a substitute material would have to be the same shape and size. So there, I guess, different steps in the process. First, you would have to determine if replacement is even needed. And then if so, it would have to be the same material and size, thus slate. But then if it's not, you'd have to demonstrate that slate material is not available. So and hopefully, Sarah, I'm not misstating the different steps in the process here. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean,
No, I think as I understand it, that's fairly
it's really a
accurate.
step-by-step, and that's
Yeah.
what I wasn't suggesting that I agree the financial aspect shouldn't come into it. It's really the ability to repair it based on the standards that are in the ordinance. So I guess it's a step-by-step, and these determinations are really factual. I mean, they come from the facts. So I would say I think the commission would need more information to be able to make these types of decisions and to be able to agree whether or not it can be repaired or not repaired, and if there are substitute, because they're not hearing about any substitute materials. I mean, there was no testimony about whether slate is even an actual slate is an option. So I would be based on other meetings and other discussions on similar subjects. Those are the types of questions they usually have. So that's the kind of information I would say they need.
So slate is certainly available. Is that what you're asking, Lisa?
Well, they would have to, right, the applicant would have to show it's not available.
Right.
So,
Right.
So I'm just, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it seems to me that Charlotte's proposal is to save the applicant from having to replace the whole roof in kind with slate. That, repairing it would certainly be, less expensive and still, comply with the Secretary of the Interior standards and our ordinance.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Schrager, part of what he is positing is that without the current facts in front of us, if so much of the roof is damaged beyond repair, when do we start talking about replacement?
That was
And I think that's what we're missing here. That's the testimony we would need, that we may need to carry this application.
Sarah, that was not how it was presented in the application.
No, I understand. I think that's what he's saying now. It's not what was said in the application.
It's not what was there, so.
No, you're right. It wasn't. But that's the question he's asking now, and we're trying to get to the bottom of. So that wasn't the preservation as presented, correct?
Right.
Or proposed, rather.
But Sarah, if we do get to a point where they come back and say, okay, 80% of the roof needs to be repaired, and we say, fine, replace it, they still have the responsibility of replacing it with a like material, which is slate.
Right.
Right.
So
They'd
that's
still have
another-
to meet the conditions highlighted in the report.
Right, so if you go back and get testimonies, you still have to speak to your roofing people to understand what materials are out there, so that you're not coming back and giving us one step and then we have to go back and another step a month or two later.
Understood. Thank you. I don't know what you guys, what we want to do. I would, you know, is there a way to partially grant this application so we can do 192 in this way, and then adjourn 190 for another time? So I can get that testimony and see if it's the kind of testimony that would be.
Sarah and Lisa, that sounds reasonable to me. Is that possible?
Isn't that what Charlotte proposed?
Oh, yeah, that's what we should.
Yeah.
Essentially, she was she wanted to grant at least a repair, the ability to repair in kind at this point. But I don't think that precludes the applicant from
Returning to it with more facts.
exactly,
Right.
especially on the repair. I mean, if it's entirely new, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can resubmit.
Regardless,
Yeah.
the condition of approval would be there would have to be a modification, an update of the preservation plan proposal for 190. But 192, as currently proposed, was approved per the resolution.
Mhm. So I don't think you would carry, a portion
Yeah,
of it.
I think we
More-
would just leave it there and let the applicant and Mr. Trager
can
follow up
resubmit.
with us. Yeah, and resubmit.
If it's not the repair, that would be
Right.
permitted by the resolution.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to the next. We have an application. Well, let me ask a question, just to kind of keep to the agenda that we had more or less set and published. Should we go back now and see if 405 Basin Street is ready? Or hold them to the end?
Mr. Andrew Schreier again, I apologize for interrupting, but I don't recall hearing a vote. I hear the
There
motion.
was a roll call vote.
Was there? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
For the questions, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I saw Mr. Amit and somebody from Venture Solar sign on for a minute and then they signed out. So
All right.
I say we move on to the next applicant.
Very good, thank you. So the next applicant is 224 John Street. Restoration of existing house and construction of a rear addition. It's in the Witherspoon Jackson Historic District. And if you want to bring over the representatives for that project.
Hi, how you doing?
Okay,
We're Mark and Zach.
Mark and Louisa, is there anyone else for
I'm
your
here, yeah.
application?
I'm here. Sorry about that. It all cut out when you promoted me to a panelist.
It's just you guys, no one else?
Correct.
Okay. I think we just need Lisa to
Yes,
swear
and
you in.
yes, who will be testifying or presenting on behalf of the applicant? Will it be,
We're both going to talk, so you might want to just sign us,
yes, so yeah,
swear
if
us
you
in.
could, yeah, if you could, each both raise your right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, so if you could each just give me your full names for the record. So it's Mark. Okay,
Beavers Carter.
great.
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle Beavers Carter.
Okay,
And Louisa Clayton, I'm the architect.
great.
Okay, thank you. Louisa, as you're familiar, we like to hear about the project, and then the commission members will hear from Sarah Quinlan about her review, and then if there's any comments from the public, and then we'll try to get a resolution, get going to get things done tonight. So if you're comfortable, please start telling us about the project.
Okay. Maybe Mark and Gabby, do you guys want to just go first and give a quick intro, and then I'll go into the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely appreciate it. So we're Mark and Gabby Beavers Carter. Appreciate you guys having us. We're grateful to be here and excited to be a part of this community. Just for background, right? We have 3 young children, 5, 3, 6 months. We moved to the Princeton area about a year ago. We actually live on John Street, and kind of when we were deciding where we want to put down our roots, it was really trying to find a neighborhood that had kind of real character, history, diversity, and a sense of community. As I mentioned, we live on John Street now. We live at 180. We moved here last year and really love the charm of the neighborhood. And we actually discovered 224 because we are at the Mary Moss Playground during the spring and summer almost every day with the kids. We saw the sign go up actually the day it was being put in. And I grew up in restored older homes and kind of immediately recognized it as a place where we could raise our children and grow old together. And I think one of the key reasons that our offer was accepted by the state of the family that had sorry, it's very chatty today. One of the reasons our offer was accepted is because we weren't looking to come in, build, and quickly sell it. It was really a place that we want to be long term, and a community that we want to contribute to. We feel our design reflects both our desire to stay in line kind of with the historical aesthetic of the neighborhood, but also right some of the realities of us wanting to be here long term, having 3 children, both of us working full time, and one of us is working from home every day. But right, we love living on John Street. It's where we want to be, and we have no interest in disrupting what makes it so special. And what out there?
Well, admittedly, for me, the Sunshine Princeton was the walkability, and I needed to be able to walk into town. I wanted to have, the experience of walking our kids to school, and I mean, that's where John Street is everything. We can walk to the schools, we can walk to the recreation center down the hill, we go to the pool, the kids love it. I live at Mary Moss Playground, so to live across from it is just that much more fitting. And yeah, we've already made friends amongst the neighbors, and that has meant so much to us as far as kind of having those roots in the community. And we love getting to know the families who've been here for 10, 20 plus years, and then also getting to know our newer neighbors who will be raising our kids together. And that has meant so much to us.
Louisa, hand it over to you.
Okay, super. Thank you. So I'm just gonna share my screen. Let me think about how to do that. Here. Oop, everything just froze. Okay, here we go. All right, great. So I just have can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, perfect. I decided to make it a tiny bit smaller so that I can manage it a
Real
little
quick,
better.
Louisa, are these slides part of the submission that's already on file? And if not,
No, so it can be like A1 and I can send it to Sarah.
awesome, thank you.
Yep. All right. So basically just a little bit of review, a little bit of review, same with Sarah. So here are Sanborn maps. 1895 was the first time it appeared, or at least the first time actually the Sanborn map went beyond Green Street. And then all the way up to 1918. So you can see that this house expanded, but really the neighborhood also expanded around it. And so it began as like lots of space and then less space and less space. And then it was pretty tight here. And then this one was built. So it's very dense, as everybody knows, and which is part of the charm. Here are some old photos, circa 1920s, circa 1930s, from the Historical Society of Princeton of John Street. So this is the typical kind of house that we're talking about tonight, that was there at that time. You know, clapboard siding, double hung windows, etc. Here is the house, a Google map of John Street. Here's Mary Moss Playground. And you can see that we're sort of the small house in the quote unquote bigger house area. Everybody else seems to have expanded, and this one has not really expanded. And you can see that here also on the, not the photographic map, but just the drawn map. And here's just a variety of the neighborhood right within one block, basically going around. You can see different roof heights. Some have the gable facing the street, some have the gable facing the side yard, some have hip roofed with dormer, some are short, some are tall, some expand way back at different heights themselves, some are higher, lower, etc. So there is an existing variety in the neighborhood, which again, I also think contributes to the character of it and the way that the community has evolved over time as people have expanded their homes because their families have gotten bigger, or their children have gotten bigger because they're growing up, or people just have always, done things to their homes to make them more comfortable for what their family situation is and how they're living. And this situation is really no different. Here is the house in the middle, 224, and then the neighboring houses on either side. So you can see that this really is the smaller one of all of them. This is similar in configuration, a little bit wider and a little bit taller. And this one has the opposing gable. But everybody's got a front porch, and this one has a shed roof over the front porch. This has a hipped roof over the front porch. This has a balcony instead. So again, lots of variety even within this, just this really microcosm of the neighborhood here. And Molly Moss Playground is directly across the street. So here is the house. It's, as we understand from the neighbors, it hasn't been lived in for about 10 years. And it's not in great shape. I don't believe it really has been maintained very well over that time, and it's showing. Right now it's got aluminum siding. It has some plastic lattice. It's got actually a sofa underneath the porch right now. In addition to a bunch of old lumber and stuff. I don't know if I have a picture of that, but if you peek through there, you could see that. There are a set of concrete steps which are currently pulling away from the porch posts. There are some wood components of the porch and some vinyl components of the porch. And we would propose to replace or repair what we could, and then remove the vinyl. For example, it's the beadboard ceiling is vinyl, and we would replace that with something that's more in keeping with the original character of the house. The windows are replacement vinyl windows, just 1/1, no divisions in the sashes, and the trim is wood, but as we'll see in a later picture, it really is rotting and it's not repairable, so it really does need to be replaced. I don't know if I said this, but we're proposing to remove the concrete steps and replace them with wooden steps that would come off and have a similar detailing railing to the porch railing that's there now, and a newel post at the bottom that would be similar to the porch post. So I think which again would be, I think, more in keeping with the original house. So here's a little bit more of a close-up of the wood trim on the exterior. I think there used to be storm windows, but there are no more storm windows because I think that when they probably replace these vinyl windows, they do have insulated glass, so they probably got rid of the storm windows at that time, but they left the frames. So again, we would like to just clean all of this up and really kind of bring it back to the charm of what it had originally been. There's still knob and tube wiring in the basement. We'd want to get rid of that as a safety feature. There was a lot of water in the basement. Anytime it rains, the foundation itself is not in great shape, but we're not proposing to get rid of the foundation. Although this is hard to see in the photo, but if you look through this crack in the front wall of the foundation, you can see daylight. So there is significant repair to be done just to really get this house kind of properly enclosed. But anyway, that's a repair that we will do. Again, a lot of old piping, old wiring, old equipment that doesn't really work anymore. And of course, all these lally columns are holding up the floor system, which means the floor system is not working. This photo down here shows a split floor joist that isn't doing anybody any favors at the moment. So when we're talking about the structure of this existing first floor system and second floor system in the front part of the house, we're talking about, sistering framing materials where we need to, or replacing the broken ones with basically in kind, same size, all of that, just because we do want to maintain certainly that front portion of the house as best that we possibly can. But there's just a lot of water, a lot of leaking, a lot of airflow. It's just not in good shape. So this is the existing condition here, the survey showing the two, so this is the house in the middle, and then this is the house, I think it's 220 and 226. 220 is to the left and 226 is to the right. So you can see it's pretty tight here in terms of the side yards, which is why we have to ask for the variances from the zoning board, because we are just, even though this house was built in 1895, the zoning regulations were overlaid in 1970, and have actually really nothing to do with this neighborhood at all. So that's really what is causing that request for a zoning variance. But for you here today, we're talking about really the maintenance of the front part of the building and restoring that character for the street. So here's the proposed site plan. We're proposing to push it back really sort of in line with what we've got at 220, slightly beyond what we've got at 226. But what goes beyond 226 is a one-story addition, which you can see up here. This diagram shows the sight lines. And so although we are building higher in the rear, we're setting it, it's number one, it's set back from the front portion of the building. And we've also, sloped the roof back. So given it basically a hipped roof at that point, so that you really will not be able to see it. This is a 6-foot person and a 5'5", which is my height, and I think Sarah too. And you really wouldn't be able to see it from even across the street. So I just say that because we were out there together. So that's the sort of idea that we're really trying to minimize this addition being visible from the street. So here's the existing conditions and existing plan. And then we're talking about just adding, basically pulling it back from the side yard, pushing it toward the rear, and giving them the kind of space so that they can really truly stay here and raise their family for the long term. And here are the elevations. So here's what you saw, which is the south side of the building. And this is where we're also talking about putting the solar panels. So again, they really would not be visible certainly from John Street. And we'd like to just get them on there just in, for energy efficiency's sake. This house will be all electric. So we're getting rid of all combustion. We're hoping to, we're going to really increase the insulation in the walls. We're going to get really good windows, all within keeping of the charm of the exterior envelope, but really creating a house that will take them, into the next few decades and really not cost them that much to run and really allow them to stay here for the long term. So, and that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Louisa,
You have the materials in your packet. I don't have those in this presentation, but if we want to talk about that, we certainly can too.
I was just going to ask what the height, the very top roof line of the addition, what is that height in comparison?
Yeah, it's let me just pull it up a little larger. I think it's 20.
Louisa?
Yeah.
I was asking what it was in comparison to the neighbors.
Oh, it's lower than the neighbor.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we're not going higher than the neighbor.
I have a question about variances. So
yeah,
how many variances do you need to get?
We just need it for the side yard because we're pushing back.
Oh, okay.
And we're pushing back 2 stories slightly longer than they'd like. But those are the 2 variances that we need.
Okay.
And the height to setback ratio. Because again, we're so close to the property line that there's really nothing we can do about that.
Okay. So there's like 3 variances.
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't think they're all C variances. I don't think any of them will really pose a hardship to the neighborhood or the community. And the neighbors next door on both sides have already built this way. So we're not asking for anything out of the ordinary.
Well, I think every house that has had work done in this neighborhood has variances. It's just
yes.
And I know they're trying to work on that now to, the zoning regulations there are so out of whack. They're trying to fix that, but
yeah, it's hard.
In the meantime, yeah, we're still doing this.
Right, exactly.
Can I interrupt for a moment, ask Sarah to give us her overview?
Oh, sure. You want me to stop sharing, Sarah?
Yes, please. I was trying to see
Okay.
if there was an easy button to push.
Just how do I do that? Sorry, I have to manage Zoom. Okay, here we go. Just stop. Oh, did I already stop sharing?
No.
No, I still see it.
Yeah, we see it.
Look on your keyboard, Louisa.
Oh, wait. I got it. There we go.
Okay, great.
I have the power.
I lost it.
Okay. I will share my screen. Okay. So, can we see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. It's being weird before. So as Louisa presented, this is in a type 2 historic district, which is subject to preservation plan review for any changes visible from the public right of way. And this is an application for historic preservation plan review, as well as an application to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. So this would be a recommendation to the zoning board, as we are not the board of jurisdiction. I'm going to kind of go briefly through my report. Little more retreading of what Louisa had said, that 224 John Street is a 2-story wood frame side gable vernacular dwelling with a full width front porch constructed circa 1892 and features a 2-story shed roof rear addition with a slight bump out on the south elevation of the dwelling. The building first appears on the 1895 Sanborn map listed as 126 John Street and as a 2-story dwelling with a half-width 1-story rear addition. By 1902, the rear addition was expanded to its current footprint, and the dwelling was listed as 128 John Street. The current address of 224 John Street didn't appear until 1918, but otherwise, the building has largely retained its form and massing since that time. It's situated on a narrow lot and shares a gravel driveway with 220 John Street. The proposed scope of work includes the restoration of the main block of the house facing John Street, consisting of the replacement of aluminum siding and trim with hardy plank lap siding and true exterior trim, the replacement of the existing vinyl windows with fiberglass clad wood windows of the same size, configuration, and operation, and the modern front door will be replaced with a wood front door. Everything on the roof, asphalt shingles, gutters, and downspouts will be replaced in kind, and the front porch will be restored with new wood elements, new wood stoop, and the removal of the lattice with new inset lattice paneled in between the parge support piers. The new construction for the property is at the rear, which includes the demolition of the existing 2-story rear addition and the construction of a 2.5-story gabled rear addition with a setback hip on gable roof facing John Street and a small 2-story cross gable roof connecting the addition to the main house. Outside of the cross gable, the existing roof on the main block of the dwelling will not be altered in shape or form. The rear addition features the same roofing and siding materials proposed on the main block of the house, as well as solar panels on the south side slope of the roof. And the addition's west rear elevation features a centered 1-story gabled addition with a rear deck. I just skip ahead a little bit. The demolition of the rear addition, while the addition's massing has changed from its original configuration when it was constructed circa 1892, its current form has been in place since at least 1902. However, due to the building density along John Street, only portions of the rear addition are visible from the public right-of-way, and its removal would most likely not constitute a significant impact to the individual resource or the larger historic districts. I completed a site visit with Louisa on April 7th to assess the visibility of the proposed rear addition based on the surrounding development and the building density within the immediate setting of 224 John Street, including alterations previously approved to 220 John Street. It appears the addition of the proposed solar panels will largely not be visible from the south and north side elevations of the existing house. I'm going to skip down to the photos. So this is facing the house on John Street. Again, John Street. This is looking from the side that this addition appears to be high enough that you would not see the solar panels or the roof of the rear addition. But bringing these photos back up. Wait, no, I lied. Sorry for the scroll. However, the addition will be partially visible from certain vantage points on John Street, directly facing the dwelling. But the setback hip on gable roof should minimize the visual impact of the taller addition and the surrounding streetscape. So you'll see that there is an extension, but it does not appear like the addition will overwhelm the existing building. As the new addition minimally alters the existing main block of the house as seen from John Street, it does not appear to destroy any historic materials, features, or spatial relationships that characterize the property. In addition, due to the size and scale of the surrounding properties, the proposed rear addition appears to be consistent with the existing paradigm of the block. Likewise, the addition appears to be compatible with the existing size, scale, proportion, and massing of other rear additions found throughout the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District, falling within the vernacular traditions of the neighborhood. I'm going to skip back up to the criteria review. Okay. As a contributing resource to the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District, staff recommends the Commission consider whether a project as proposed generally retains the building's historic integrity, spaces, and spatial relationships, as well as the overall historic character of the property. In addition, staff recommends the Commission consider the following while conducting their historic preservation plan review and subsequent recommendation to the Zoning Board of Adjustment: whether the proposed project meets the Secretary of the Interior standards, whether it is appropriate to and compatible with the existing structures and landscape of the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District, whether it would adversely affect the ambiance, character, and appearance of the district, whether the proposed project preserves or enhances the historic architectural value and character of the structure, whether it would adversely affect the exterior architectural features and setting of the structure, Whether the alterations to the existing dwelling seek to restore the structure to a reasonably conceived appearance it had when it was first constructed, moved, or modeled. Whether the modifications proposed to the existing dwelling that are beneficial to contemporary living, including but not limited to the demolition of the existing 2-story rear addition and construction of the new 2.5-story rear addition, are consistent with the architectural design and character of the structure in the larger districts. Whether the proposed addition is visually compatible with the structures of the district. Whether the addition acts as a backdrop to and does not visually intrude upon the structures and places within the district. Whether the height of the addition is visually compatible. Whether the relationship of the width to height of the proposed addition is visually compatible. Whether the relationship of the proposed addition to the open space between it and adjoining structures is visually compatible with the district. Whether the roof shape of the proposed addition is visually compatible with structures within its immediate setting, and whether the size, massing, windows, doors, and porches on the proposed addition is visually compatible with the structures and places within their immediate setting.
Okay. Commission members, any new questions or additional questions based on that very good review of how to think about this property? Okay. So why don't we take a break and find out if there are members of the public who have things they want to ask or comment on about this project?
Anyone from the public would like to make a public comment, please raise your hands. Nope. Okay. I am promoting Yina to panelist, and then I will get John next.
Good evening, HPC and staff. My name is Yana Moore. I live at 19 Green Street. I have testified in the past with regard to the application of visuals from streetscape side of buildings being altered within the Witherspoon Jackson Historic District. And so in this case, while it seems the application of or the installation of solar panels seems to not be visible, which is certainly a good thing. It was based, I guess, on the prior um, requirements to limit that visual. I am concerned about the height of that rear addition. Why it appears that the floor to ceiling on all floors, which appear to be 3 floors, including the roof, is much higher than the existing building. And as a result, that hip roof from the elevation, street side, can be seen. Well, it's not in line with the facade of the original building, can be seen. And I'm wondering whether there really is a way to mitigate that by reducing the height of either floor to ceiling on the first, second, and third floor, or changing, I guess, the roof configuration. Because what it is a pop-up in the back that is visible from the street, which is not a good look. So those are my comments with regard to this, because it sets a negative precedent to continue on that, regardless of what the height of the roof comparison is to its neighbor, that the visual from the street is the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Yana.
Thank you, Yana.
Sarah, is there another?
I have one more. I am promoting John.
Hi, this is John Jackson. We're neighbors at 220 John, and just wanted to reinforce that we're entirely supportive of the application and the improvements to the house next door. And personally, as the family that I guess would be seeing solar panels the most, we're also comfortable with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we go back to any elevations that show different angles of the height of the building to surrounding buildings?
You want me to bring that back up?
If you could, please.
I think, I mean,
That's probably
this is the existing situation. We're talking about coming up about here, lower than this roof, and angling it back from the street. So again, I mean, I understand that, like, if I were to draw that roof on here, it would look like you could see it right, immediately. But the reality is that it's not straight up and down like this one is, which you do see immediately. It is set quite far back. It's already set back here. And I think that that's like about 15 feet or something. And then it's angled back. So I really, and these are the sight lines. This is a 6-foot tall person looking up. And if they're on the sidewalk here, what they're going to see is this roof. And even if they're on the sidewalk across the street, what they're going to see is this ridge at the front, and it's going to go all the way back. So, it's really not going to be that visible from the street. And with the other houses with the higher roofs next door, the gentleman who just spoke, and this one that's already here, again, they're all so close together that sure, you catch a tiny glimpse of it beyond, like you catch a tiny glimpse of this dormer here, but it's not the main thing. So when you look at this streetscape, you probably don't even really think about this dormer here. And that's what this roof would be like. So sure, you look at it for a long time and you're like, oh yeah, there's a dormer there. But what you really think about is what this gable looks like, and what this roof looks like, and what this roof looks like, and the window configurations and the front porches. And then only after a while of thinking about it and looking at it will you be like, oh, by the way, yeah, that does have a dormer way back there. So I think that we have to think about this addition as like that, right? I'm not saying you're never going to see it, but I don't think it's not going to jump out at you, and it's not going to feel like it's part of this streetscape that you're enjoying right now.
Thank you. That helped me a lot.
You're welcome.
I think you do read it as the massing of the building, though. I mean, you do, even if it's back further, it's a larger mass, but
it could also be something like a house behind, a different house, like this one
here.
So it's hard to say, like this one, this one is maybe 6 feet, and then it pops up behind. And it just goes straight up. So you definitely see that from the street. But this one would be completely angled back. So I don't think it's going to be the same feeling.
Commission members, any other questions or comments?
Well, one thing that stood out to me is that it was said that the house has been empty or vacant for 10 years.
That's what we understand from the neighbors. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, I don't think it's good for any neighborhood to have a house empty for 10 years. I wouldn't want an empty house next to my house. So, I think also there is an upgrade in materials from vinyl to hardy plank, from vinyl windows to wood fiberglass windows, and to rebuild the porch with materials that are maybe more appropriate. Like the stoop, I think it would be better to have a wood stoop than concrete. And I don't know, I mean, for me, I think having a sofa under your house is a little weird. Like I would get rid of that. But
That's the plan.
but I definitely think this is going to add to the vitality of the neighborhood and yet keep its character. So that's my 2 cents.
I think that you bring a lot of excellent points to the conversation. Others? All right, then are we at a point where we're ready to make a recommendation to the zoning board? I guess what I'm hearing in favor of this project and the variances it requires.
Sure. Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Yeah, I think it's a
Was
good
that a
project.
second? I'm sorry, Roger.
No, I was just chiming in there. I think it's a well-designed project, and I think it will be a good addition to the neighborhood.
All right, then, Sarah, what do we need for a letter? Also a roll call or?
Yes, it'll be a roll call, but it is correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa, a recommendation to the zoning board, which will then turn into a chair memo rather than a resolution. But still roll call vote and all the other formal things of a resolution.
Okay.
So we need a motion and a second if we are going forward on this and no one else has any other comments.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve it as
Second motion.
Okay, I'll do the roll call. This is for recommendation to the zoning board of adjustment. Mr. Shatskin,
Yes.
Ms. Howard,
Yes.
Ms. Capizoli,
yes.
Ms. Friedman,
Yes.
Ms. Kroll,
Yes.
Ms. Kozevnikova,
Yes.
Chair Sure.
Yes.
Okay. The recommendation for the zoning board of adjustment has passed.
Thank you so much. We really, really appreciate your time and your thought.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louisa.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
I think that was a cheer.
I think they liked it too.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Let's hear from the application for the Quadrangle Club, 33 Prospect Avenue. And they want to replace their terracotta roof tile with Da Vinci synthetic slate.
Alright. Dominic, I assume you're presenting on this application.
Good. Guys, can you everybody hear me all right?
Yes. Is there anyone else presenting with you? I saw there were other quad people on here and they have since dropped off.
No, they were just planning on listening in anyway. I mean, guess you guys kind of went over a lot of the points with the 190 to 192 application.
Miss Dominic, if we could just, we just need to swear you in, if you don't mind, before you give testimony. So just raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. And if you could just State your full name for the record.
Dominic Farello, F as in Frank, ARRELLO.
Great.
So I guess with the application submitted, it was a like continuity with the block. The current roof is a tile roof that is over I think it's 60 years old, 70 years old. And I guess it would be the same conversation that we had earlier about how do we know it needs repair, et cetera, et cetera. So if you need documentation on that, we're happy to provide it. Every single building on the block is either a black slate or a unfading green slate, mottled green, purple mixes. So with the similar facade, you guys would know better. Ms. Quinlan would know the timing of the buildings and the structures, but the tile isn't with the low slope that this roof is, the tile is not the best option in 2026. I'll put it that way. So not really having considered this, and excuse me, because I'm getting thrown into it later in the game, but not getting away from anything. But I guess the thought was similar to what Mr. Schrager said earlier, minus the cost issues. But yeah, I guess I mean, I don't know about the review. I mean, I guess I could comment on what the review was or what your guys' thoughts are.
Ed, I'm not sure why the terracotta roof is being replaced with a synthetic slate versus terracotta with a new terracotta roof.
The synthetic slate is just honestly is preferable to us for a few reasons, maintenance being one of them, and it'll blend with the block better. I mean, right now the terracotta has just been dirtied and browned anyway. You can barely tell it's terracotta from the ground. Yeah, it's just a maintenance thing, whereas terracotta is brittle on a lower slope. I believe that slope is a 4 or a 5 on 12. So when you get a snow load, this year being the most extreme example, it doesn't hold up well to that. That along with the surrounding trees and stuff, it just is easier for them to break and require a lot of maintenance, whereas the plastic holds up to all that, the synthetic.
Was the building designed originally with a terracotta roof?
That I don't know. Miss Quinlan maybe would know.
I can go over my report in a bit.
Yeah, I'm
if you're
sorry
done,
to.
Dominic, I can go over my report.
Sure, that'd be great, because I'm I don't want to just keep talking over myself.
Okay, so I share my screen.
I did not see this report, but did you send this to anybody, or is this the first time?
No, I sent this to the applicant,
Okay.
Neville, and whoever else he copied on the Quad Club, and it was uploaded to the website. Okay, so we are discussing. Can we see my screen? Is it? Yes, okay.
Yeah, I had to switch to my thing, but I trust you said you swore in, right? So you're good.
We're talking about 33 Prospect Avenue, known as the Quadrangle Club. It is in a Type 2 historic district, which is subject to preservation plan review for any changes from the public right-of-way, and this is for strictly a historic preservation plan review. The Prospect Avenue Historic District is our newer 21st Historic District. It is among the collection of Princeton eating clubs along Prospect Avenue that constitutes the majority of the contributing properties within this district. The 16 clubhouses on this row were erected between 1895 and 1928, reflecting popular revival styles of the period. 11 of the eating clubs were made privately owned and operated, while the other 5 are owned by the university and used for academic purposes. The district is characterized by the architectural significance of the clubhouses along the north and south sides of Prospect Avenue, which retain a high level of integrity from the time of their construction. The clubhouses are set back from the road with large manicured lawns, landscaping, mature trees. The Quadrangle Club was originally designed by Henry Milliken in a Georgian revival style and constructed in 1916. The 2-story brick building has a Modillion block cornice. The brick is laid in Flemish blonde with limestone coins, windowsills, and keystones centered in the brick jack arch lintels. The rear of the building features a 2-story boat addition, which has altered its massing, but the building's form is evident from Prospect Avenue. The 1981 Princeton Architectural Survey noted that the roof was clad in wood shingles, and the Princeton Historic District boundary increase for the Princeton Eating Clubs from 2017 noted that the building has a slate roof. However, original roofing material provided by the applicant indicates the roof is clad in square clay red terracotta tiles. The proposed project consists of the removal of the terracotta tiles and their replacement with a Da Vinci slate shingle in Castle Gray. While the discrepancy in earlier surveys regarding the roofing material is most likely due to the buildup of organic material that obscured the terracotta tiles over time, the tiles replacement does not appear to meet the Secretary of the Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties. The standards for rehabilitation note that deteriorated historic features will be repaired rather than replaced, where the severity of deterioration requires replacement of a distinctive feature. The new feature will match the old in design, color, texture, where possible. Materials replacement of missing features will be substantiated by documentary and physical evidence. Again, I note that in our own ordinance, under additional criteria applicable to historic structures, existing materials, if they are the original materials of the original structure or remodeling, which is being restored, should be maintained and repaired rather than replaced. Specifically regarding roofing and siding materials, as we discussed earlier, the original siding and roofing material should be maintained or repaired, and if replacement is needed, it should be of the same material and size. If the same material is not available, substitute material should be of the same size and same shape and size. I could not find, in the brief amount of time I had to research, indication on what the original roof was, but it appears due to lack of cleaning and maintenance, its appearance has been obscured over time as it's been assessed as different materials over time. But
yeah, I'd push back on a lack of cleaning.
Dominic, please.
Sorry.
This is
Good.
Let me
I
finish.
apologize.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And I'm talking about maintenance over 100 years, because this terracotta can last 50 to 100 years. And this could be the original roof. I don't have documentary evidence to support that, but it is at least a historic roof. Skipping down to the comments and recommendations, staff recommends the commission consider the following while conducting their review: whether the proposed project meets the Secretary of the Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties, whether the proposed project is appropriate to and compatible with the existing structures and landscape of the Prospect Avenue Historic District, whether the proposed project would adversely affect the ambiance, character, and appearance of the district, whether the proposed project preserves or enhances the historic or architectural value and character of the structure, whether the proposed project would adversely affect the exterior architectural features and setting of the structure, as well as historic and architectural character, and whether the installation of Da Vinci synthetic slate roof shingles on 33 Prospect Avenue meets the conditions specified under T10B 386 3BI, or 3B1 rather, and 10TB 386 3B5. I did not include it. There were photos included in the application folder. I did not attach them to the report here, but I can pull those up if we need to see them again.
No need. You're good. Can you get back to the part about where was the 2017 survey from? Or
It was a
it just visual?
nomination.
Okay.
There was a report to designate the district.
Okay, that was just on your guys' end. I didn't know where that came in. Was that Princeton? Was that you, like Princeton, that did that? The township, or?
It was a National Register nomination. It's available online.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry.
It's
I'm just
it's
not
how we
familiar with it.
designated this area as a district.
Okay. The there was something in the previous application at the beginning that I thought applied, but it slipped my memory. So yeah, I guess we're just kind of asking where we go from here, or where we are with the application process. I mean, I was doing some research on the synthetic side of things, and there is other colors that would be a red, a clay tileish, and there's actually a manufacturer um that does have a synthetic flat slab tile, to mimic this. So I don't know if we have to, depending on what your guys' decisions are, I guess is what our next steps would be.
I have a question also, Sarah, and I don't know whether this is relevant or not, but I hope it is. And this would also be for Mr. Schreger as well. So, I mean, it would be really great, for this eating club to replace the roof in kind, with the same tiles that there are there right now. It would be great to have a slate roof, over at 190 Nassau. Are there any grants available from, the state of New Jersey that people can apply for these repairs?
Maria, I hate to interrupt you, but I really think that's out of our,
Not at all. Okay.
just not our deal.
Not our deal. Okay. So we have nowhere to like direct people. Okay.
No. I mean, I feel like this is a little bit the same issue, that it's got a terracotta tile roof on it. If we have any reason to believe that, I don't think we have any reason to believe that wasn't the original roof. And thus, if it needs repair, if it needs replacement, you replace it with a terracotta tile roof. And it's not, the point of historic preservation is not to create a matching, so it matches the eating club next door or next door. I mean, that's the beauty of that street, is they're all kind of quite different. Even if the majority of them have slate roofs, but I don't know. I feel like that, so I'll stop there. But
Other comments? Other input?
I agree with Charlotte. I think it's kind of interesting that today we have two almost identical situations, and people feel they can just replace the roof with whatever they want because of maintenance. But we have to follow our guidelines. So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer that.
And in fairness, I mean, we're not doing it with whatever we want. We're here doing the application. It's not like we're out there working right now. So we're going through the processes and, making sure everything's right on our end and your guys' end. We're not trying to get around anything.
Right, but I think it would have saved a lot of time, Dominic, if you had given Sarah a call, and said,
Agreed.
yeah, you would have saved
I agree.
all of us a lot of time today. And that's usually that's the process. You call and you ask a few questions if you're not sure, and she would have guided you. And
I agree.
So what are the options here to table this until we have some more information and a bigger proposal to look at?
What more information do you need, David?
Well, I guess other options of what materials could be used there, why these terracotta tiles need to be replaced with slate.
I don't think it was though. What?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I think they should simply either, and I don't know if that's exactly how it works, Sarah, but either withdraw the application or have us vote and vote. And they live with the result. I mean,
Well, is if we keep the application in and the vote goes the way that, you know, anyone would predict, would that matter to submitting a different application? Like, you know, I don't want to like make anything more difficult. Is it easier for on your end if we withdraw it and then submit a whole new one and just be like, you know, hey, forget we were even here type thing? I don't, I just don't know how the process works on your guys' end to make it easier.
I think in the past we typically recommend if we are leaning towards denial, that it makes the most sense to withdraw the application and work with the historic preservation officer, myself, to revise the scope of work that to something that is more likely to be approved or could be approved administratively if it's in kind.
That's the route we'll take. And Frida or Sarah, I'm going to take Frida up on calling you and uh going over but before I do that, one of the questions I did have generally here is the codes and stuff you were reading off of. Where can I access those? Again, it was I didn't have the time that I wanted to prepare, and I just want to
Understood.
do it.
I could give me a call. I can send you that information. I'll follow up. It is accessible through our website, through the Princeton NJ.gov website, under the municipal code, the historic preservation ordinance.
That's
and
probably
if you look
enough
at
of a
the
head start.
meeting, the calendar for today's meeting, there are links to each application folder, and my report is in there, and the things I'm referencing are directly linked to my report. So that's probably the easiest. It's more steps, but
And
it's the most direct way to get it.
that'll get me to the entire,
Yes. Yeah.
document, because I'm just like that. I just would rather see the whole thing. Okay, cool. I appreciate that. NJ.gov municipal code. I'll stumble across something.
Princeton NJ.gov.
And yeah, I think that's about it. I guess I mean, I guess you guys have to think about some synthetic products for roofs, if it's a yes or a no, and because that's what I wanted to look up beforehand, is if it was a yes or a no altogether. But I didn't find anything with my driving and Googling, so I apologize.
So I'm going to put you down as withdrawn at the applicant's request, and I look forward to working with you.
Likewise.
All right. Thank you,
Thank
Dominic.
you.
Appreciate your time, guys.
Thank you. All right. Do we know if the 405 Basin Street application of those that owner and consultant have come back into the room?
I do not see anyone that appears to be of that application. If you are here, if you are on the call as an attendee representing 405 Basin Street solar panel application, please raise your hand so I can move you to a panelist. I don't think they were. I saw somebody pop up maybe an hour ago and then disappear. So do we hear the application without applicant testimony? Or carry it?
I think we should carry it.
I agree.
All right, then. We have a concept review next, 8 Green Street. As we all saw in the package, it's quite a complicated proposal. And I'd like to hear from the applicant. So identify yourself to Sarah so she can bring you in.
Good.
Oh, there we go.
It should be everybody.
Can you folks hear us?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry about the video. We should get it going any second here. Is it starting, guys? There it is. There it goes. Good evening. My name is Jalsa Yerub-Shuro. I'm the sole member of Nomad Development LLC. I've been I'll give you a little bit of my background. I was born and raised in Monmouth County, first Mongolian community in America. That's my first language. I grew up in the construction business my whole life, almost 5 decades. I built started as a carpenter and a framer, rough framing. Built the largest framing contractor in the country. I've lived in the Princeton area, as I said, for 4 decades. And I purchased this property just a little over 2 years ago. And I know we submitted some, I'm also joined by Richard Schatzman, who's our attorney of record. And I believe our architects are on as well somewhere, right?
Yes, they're on.
So they're on as well. But I just wanted to explain what happened with this property. We purchased it at the very beginning. We closed on it, I think it was the January of 2024. So a little over a year ago, despite all the structural information, the thing that happened to me is that I had 3 surgeries within 7 days of each other, within a period of about 3 weeks, consecutive weeks. I had open heart, had a ring implanted just a little over a year ago. 7 days later, they took out 2 feet of my large intestine. Then 10 days later, they had to do that again. So I survived that. It kind of delayed me on my project of building my own home in Princeton. So this is how we've gotten where we are. And my original intention was to build this house and try to restore it. I got to know about Inez Williams, the lady who lived there, and some of her family members on Green Street, trying to get a feel for the community. And then as we started to do inspections after the purchase, we found lots of problems with it. Even beyond the structural, the air quality issue, because that was my second heart surgery 35 years after my first one as a young man. But the air quality issues and the mold that's prevalent throughout the house and the rotting of the interior members are quite extensive. We've had issues like we actually, the house was maintained. I know there are some things in the memorandum we received that were slightly off. We did not own it for 4 years. It was just at the beginning of 2024. We closed, and I told you what happened to me by the end of 24 and into the beginning of 25. But the property was maintained with power, heat, electricity, all of that. And in February, end of February, almost March, beginning of March, we had this past year, we had the water meter burst and flooded the basement with water. Not helping the obviously our power and everything went off. It did not help the mold situation and the number of spores and the level and the amount of spores that are present. So, what we were looking for is the demolition so that we could start again. We're looking for guidelines on how we can accomplish that because it's just not healthy. We had one, we even tried to get demo companies to come in. We had one give us their assessment, but one refused to work in there. He said if the prices we were trying to get was for removing plaster, stripping it down to studding so that we could do remodeling. And as I said, I've been a framer and a carpenter my whole life. I designed furniture on the side. I'm also a conservationist. I've been a board member of the Peregrine Fund that saved the falcon from extinction for almost 2 decades now, and also the Captain Planet Foundation that Ted Turner started, who's a friend of mine who just passed away 2 weeks ago. And and I also have been very involved in community and preservation. I built the #1 eco lodge in the Gobi Desert of Mongolia because of my ancestral heritage. It's become a community center. It's quite well known for what it contributes to the local community, and it was built like an ancient temple. I've also worked on projects with the World Monuments Fund, and our architects, Mancini Duffy, have been involved in historical restoration, and Richard is obviously a well-known attorney in the Princeton area. So we're just looking for guidance. These concepts are not ones that I'm married to. I, spent time and money and my own time on it, and then of course had a little bit of a curveball thrown at me. But we are looking for guidance. The building itself, we have photographs you've looked at. People look at it from the exterior, and as I did, and went inside, but didn't realize the extent of the mold and the rot that's inside the building. So that's why I requested trying to demolish it. So that's where we're at. If our architects would like to say anything, or Richard.
Ms. Maddox, as you well know, your client derives its power through the municipal land use law of the state of New Jersey. And I know in Ms. Quinlan's memo, they want a structural engineer to go through the building to support what the reports are that we submitted for the application. I have no problem with that. But I do say, under my understanding of the case law, under the municipal land use law, state of New Jersey, if you want to have somebody, you're welcome to look at it. But I think we're entitled under the municipal land use law of the state of New Jersey to have notice of that, and a representative of the applicant be there at the same time. And that the engineer, I suppose would be a mechanical engineer, will put what his findings are on the record to make a full record of what he found.
Structural.
All right, who is speaking? Who was just previous speaking?
Who's Richard?
That was Mr. Chapman, the applicant's attorney.
Right. It's very hard to see you all.
If that's, if the, I would say if the commission wants to go that route, I don't think it would have any problems. Now, did you say mechanical or structural engineer? I don't know. I heard some.
I don't know who you're getting. I don't know. Mechanical or structural engineer, it's up to you, but it's got to be qualified, and we'll, of course, when we have the full hearing, I'm going to voir dire him to see to what extent what his qualifications are. That's what the applicant has hired me for, as I do many times before municipal land use boards. You can ask Mr. Schmier and Ms. Cecil. That's what I do. So that's all I do in my practice. So I don't know who you're getting, but I will be voir diring him, or her, I should say.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So when the memorandum was composed, I think you probably meant to since we submitted a structural engineering report, I would imagine that what you're proposing is to get another structural engineer to verify our findings.
You are.
That right, they're proposing that.
You're proposing that. Ms. Quinlan points out in the ordinance, and what I'm saying is that because you have your authority through the municipal land use law of the state of New Jersey that was enacted on August 1st, 1976, some of the law, in my opinion, applies. And you don't derive your power through the police power or the omnibus clause of the 1947 New Jersey Constitution. You derive your power through 4055D-1. I believe it's section 4. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. But so what I'm saying is that I have no problem with it. But I say that under that law that you derive your power, that you must give us notice, and a representative must be a representative of the applicant must be there to be with that whoever you select, and he puts his findings on the record.
So
That's the law.
So beyond that, if I might add, just to emphasize that this is a place that even as we speak, we're in the building business, and this is for my own home. It's not a speculative property.
No, he's living here.
I'm not living there now, but
Well, he
uninhabitable.
will.
Right, that's my plan.
That's the problem. The problem is he gave you why he can't, because of the mold, more so than the structural, the mold. And maybe you want to get somebody as well to verify the terrible air condition there. As he testified to, he's had operations and he wants to live there, but he can't live there with the mold. So you have to come to the conclusion that what he's doing for a demo has to be done because of his health condition.
And obviously the structural condition of the building, if you get inside of it, we've discovered more after the water meter break that it's all stone, random stone. There's no footings. And obviously we want to repair and restore the house from a design standpoint. There's certain things that we've studied, the zoning, the FAR, all of that, trying to comply without seeking variations. There was another aspect that I also wanted to be considerate of, is that the potential, the park, and I've had very good conversations with our neighbors, the commercial building, the Princeton Arts Council building next door. I don't know the neighbors with the contemporary next to us. We are kind of trapped between this commercial building and a contemporary building that's starkly different in design than even what I gave you some concept drawings of. And I think across the street, there's a contemporary as well as a house from the same period, from the late 1800s into the early 1900s. We're committed to trying to create something provincial in a design that it looks like in the neighborhood. But when we look at the feel and look of the neighborhood, it's been totally disrupted by these contemporaries. And I saw something, there's a reference to folk Victorian. I think really it's a stretch, because if you look down the street, there are certain, as you noted, embellishments that are made on the front porches, and because of the demographics of the time. But I think Inez Wallace's history, what I was going to say is I wouldn't be adverse, and I would kind of be a nice project. There's a pocket park directly behind that property that's in disarray. People have been staying, vagrants, actually using it as a bathroom, between the two fences. We actually came in and cut down all of the bushes in between, which was quite a chore in itself, so that people wouldn't be sleeping in there. And the fellow Adam Welsh, who runs or is the president of the Arts Council, was attacked in the backyard by some people who were, look, so I just think that park is in disarray. I saw a plaque on one of the chairs there that's rotted and falling off. The Schermerhorns, I think, dedicated the chairs, the benches there that are totally rotted. They're teak, but they're literally have holes in them. I just thought that could be part of what we could do for the community, maybe commemorate it to Inez Williams. You saw a concept that I did not approve, that we just put it out there with a big sign. I thought that was a little blatant, but I think something could be done with that park there in conjunction with our construction, since we're doing that kind of the re-landscaping of it, improvements. And I proposed a wall in the back so that we could divide the park and with some lighting to prevent that from becoming a place for people to sleep in. But it's not a problem you would expect in downtown Princeton, but it has happened, and you can certainly call on Adam next door to verify what the things have been going on there. So that's our story. I would love to have some guidance on, because the health conditions are my greatest fear. Even our people working in there, that we've gone in several times, we've tried to salvage some of the boxes that were left behind by Inez's daughter. And so we've been able to salvage some boxes we want to turn over to the Historical Society, but our people can't work in there long. There's mold everywhere. And, mold is a killer. It's a poison. And we've had issues with that. We're one of the largest suppliers of lumber. It's something we take great pains to prevent from allowing to enter into the homes that we frame for developers. I'm not about to go into a home and I don't want to be forced to live in a home and try to restore a basement that's become a breeding ground for this mold. So demolition, through two different experts told us, is the best solution. So what I'm trying to find out or determine what are the conditions under which you would allow that. And then also we would be welcome to hear some of the guidelines for the design that we create to replace the house. But that basement is unusable from a structural standpoint. And so meaning the foundation, it doesn't have footings. It's, you could never build. I mean, I don't know how long the building will survive on top of it, but so we certainly haven't neglected it. Working in it is a hazard, but we could use some guidance.
Andy, if you're speaking, we can't hear you.
Oh, Mr. Schatzman, I never responded to your concern and your request. So it really depends on the application that ultimately gets submitted. But if it's an application for development that's going to go before a land use board and there is, concern on the commission's board and it wants to move forward with some sort of engineering or some additional work or
professional testimony.
Site work professionals on site, then we'll definitely work with you. We'll coordinate and make sure you are in the loop at all times.
Thank you very much.
Sure, of course.
Are either of the architects or your team any other testimony being presented?
Yes.
Not testimony, but presentation rather.
Andy, we can't hear you.
Andy Doman is with Mancini Duffy, our architects. Andy, we can't hear you.
Lisa, have people been sworn in?
It's
this is not a formal.
It's a concept review.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's less formal. None of this is really binding.
Okay.
So no.
No, sorry, Andy's trying to talk.
He's waving a lot, but just out of curiosity, so the memorandum, I was kind of surprised because we haven't had any inspections or haven't had any really much. I thought that once we presented the concept, we would get opinions on this, but this is that the usual format and the SOP for review by the commission.
You haven't filed an application, so the conditions outlined in the memo are referencing what the HPC can do in regards to our ordinance as dictated by what application is filed and what review is then undertaken. We're not reviewing an application, we're discussing a concept, but I drafted the memo to give that information to the applicant yourself, or rather the presenter, and to the HPC regarding what falls under review for a demolition application.
Mm-hmm. Understood. It also then went on to comment on the designs we presented. So that's something, as I'm saying, I certainly would love feedback, and also would love feedback on what the criteria are for demolition. I know there were some of those houses.
That was included in the memo, the criteria for demolition.
Well, some are not nearly as clear. I don't know if there was no mention of the health conditions
because that's not a criteria for demolition under the Historic Preservation Ordinance.
Well, that may be something we have to address.
No, I don't know about that.
It's not in our current preservation ordinance.
Well,
understood. We'll
you're still subject to arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable, like any other board. So, I mean, courts give deference to local boards, but they can't be arbitrary, unreasonable, and capricious. And quite frankly, as a legal matter, and I've been doing this for 58 years, if the ordinance creates an unreasonable, capricious condition, it's subject to review by a court of law. Not that we want to do that, but
Just
The man has a problem with his health, and a record will be made of that as part of the reason for demolition. And you can have your own expert, quote unquote, as I said before, go through the house and come to whatever conclusion he or she comes to.
Jenny, can you hear
Okay,
me now?
are you, yes, okay. Adam, is that your name? I'm sorry.
No, Andy.
Andy, sorry. I went with an
Yes.
A.
Can you
Yes,
guys hear me
yes,
now?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I'm Andy Doman. I work at Mancini Duffy, and Jenny Callahan is my partner. So before we kind of get sideways in this whole conversation, to Jolson's point, yeah, the idea the building's not healthy. So the intent of this was just to have a meeting to talk to you guys about. By the way, I own 2 historical buildings. So I'm kind of familiar with the process, understand the things that you guys are talking about. This is a little bit unusual because the building's riddled with mold. So there's things that can be done with structurally, but from a mold, the health concerns, to Jolson's point, are pretty severe. So we just really wanted to have an open dialogue with you guys to understand, like, what do you do with things like this and how can we work together? And is it possible, to Joseph's point, is what's involved if we need to tear the house down? What is it that we need to show or, demonstrate to you guys?
I can go through my memo if you don't have other testimony or other presentations to bring forward.
But Joseph, I'm okay with that if you're okay with that. I mean, I think the idea is, and what got submitted was just some context. We just had some preliminary floor plans that were done by others, but it was more so to talk about his conceptual and architectural style that Joseph was interested in. So the first lift is, can we remove the house? What's involved in removing the house? And then the second step would be, we are going to design a new house, understand the guidelines we need to follow from the architectural styles. So with that, Sarah, I'll go ahead and let you talk.
Can we see my screen?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right. So as we've discussed at this point, Nomad Development LLC has requested a concept review for the complete demolition of the existing dwelling at 8 Green Street and the construction of a new building with an ADU. The building is located in the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District on the south side of Green Street, near the eastern end of the block, diagonally opposite from the Paul Robeson House. The Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District is primarily a residential district unique in Princeton with a period of significance that reflects the development of one of the earliest African-American communities in New Jersey from 1830 to 1969. Green Street was laid out as part of the development of the Ferguson Track in the 1840s and 50s and contains some of the earliest surviving houses in the district, including 7 Green Street, directly opposite 8 Green Street. The district's cultural significance is represented through the built environment that developed over time in simpler vernacular styles due to the economic disparity, displacement, and discrimination. I included a brief description from the applicant's applications, essentially stating the same, that they want to demolish the existing building and build a new building with an ADU. In support of the proposed scope of work, the applicant provided a number of reports detailing the unsafe conditions and structural unsoundness of the dwelling, including a structural evaluation dated January 9th, 2024. It is a professional opinion that to repair, renovate this home and bring it into compliance with the present code requirements would be a significant undertaking and extremely costly. Staff notes, again, that per T10B 3793, the commission can request an independent professional to examine the structure regarding applications for development. If the applicant is alleging structural unsoundness of any portion of said structure as a reason for the demolition, the commission or board of jurisdiction may employ at the applicant's expense, pursuant to 10B 32, a structural engineer or other professionals to examine independently said structure or part thereof and report to their findings to the commission or board of jurisdiction before any final action is taken by the board of jurisdiction. In addition, under the Historic Preservation Ordinance 10B 391, Demolition, the preservation plan review criteria for reviewing demolitions or moving of structures. The demolition or moving of a structure in historic preservation zoning districts shall be approved only if the structure cannot be put to a reasonable use and its preservation will impose a financial hardship on the applicant. For residential properties, financial hardship is defined within the municipal code as with respect to owner-occupied residential property, the inability of the applicant to continue owner-occupied residential use without the proposed work. As confirmed by property records, the applicant purchased the property a little over 2 years ago on January 31st, 2024, and based on the reports and documentation provided by the applicant in support of this concept review, the residential property has not been occupied since that time. Mr. Levin said that this was from the GSE Industrial Hygiene Report. Mr. Levin said that the property has been vacant for the last 4 years, which, based on the timeline, 2 of those years was owned by the applicant, and that no maintenance has been done on the home since then. Again, according to the Industrial Hygiene Report, the HVAC system has likely been completely off since the home was abandoned. Based on the above information, the applicant was aware of the costly structural repairs required when the house was purchased, and the dwelling has not been owner-occupied since that time. Furthermore, the owner's lack of maintenance while the house is vacant, including but not limited to temperature control and weatherization of the building, most likely contributed to some of the concerns noted in the applicant's report. As illustrated in the National Park Service preservation brief, mothballing historic buildings, lack of maintenance, and neglect of vacant historic buildings could often lead to deterioration of the structure. Providing temporary protection and stabilization for vacant historic buildings can arrest deterioration and buy the owner valuable time to raise money for preservation or to find a compatible use for the property. In regards to the proposed construction, generally it consists of a 3-story stucco and stone-clad dwelling with metal balconies and large windows, topped with a hip-on gable slate roof with hip roof dormers, as well as a similar designed 2-story ADU. It is staff's opinion that the concept plan for the proposed demolition and new construction does not conform with the Secretary and the Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties, nor does it adhere to the Municipal Land Use Ordinance, Article 13, Division 5, Sections 10B3861, 10B3862, and 10B391. The existing building at 8 Green Street is a circa 1898 2-story side gable wood frame vernacular dwelling with folk Victorian influence detailing on the full width front porch. The east side elevation features a 2nd floor box bay window, and the south rear elevation features a 2-story cross gable rear L. Based on historic maps, the dwelling appears to retain its form and massing from its original construction. The dwelling has undergone some minor exterior alterations, including the installation of vinyl siding and the enclosure of the porch on the west side elevation of the rear L. However, the building still retains integrity of location, design, setting, workmanship, feeling, and association that qualifies it as a contributing resource to the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District. Therefore, the building's demolition would result in an adverse effect to the district. The proposed new construction appears to borrow architectural influence from Dorothea's House and the First Baptist Church, both found on the west end of Green Street. While staff recognizes that these buildings are key contributing resources to the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District respectfully, they are institutional, community, and religious buildings, not dwellings. As noted above, the historic character that helps illustrate the cultural significance of the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District are the vernacular dwellings found throughout the neighborhood. The overall residential built environment does not reflect high architectural style buildings, but rather small, simple vernacular houses with little architectural ornamentation. The proposed highly detailed and stylized 3-story dwelling and 2-story ADU is not compatible with the historic materials, features, size, scale, and proportion and massing of the existing property, the streetscape, or the larger Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District. The height of the proposed new construction is not visually compatible and does not appear to be appropriate to the existing structures and landscape of the district. Therefore, it appears that the proposed new construction would adversely affect the setting, ambiance, character, and appearance of the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District.
Thank you, Sarah.
So if I could comment on that memorandum. The building proposed just the elevation, as I told you, that we're not married to, but it complies with the 35-foot zoning height, which is maxed out at 35 feet, and so are some of the neighboring properties, including the contemporary next door from a laser assessment of its height. So when it says it's higher, I just saw one of the plans get approved earlier. That home, that addition was higher than what what we have. And I know this from years of working just by the scale of that elevation that I saw. So as far as visuals go, I think we're looking for design feedback. But the issue about the health, we're obviously, it looks like it may end up being a legal issue about whether that causes some hardship on me, forcing me to do that. The basement itself, I'm welcome to you, even though I don't like the idea of us having, we have another structural report we can submit as well that was also a negative one. We were trying to we had a conflict in the schedule because we were trying to get our structural engineer to comment on this as well. But if you feel it's necessary for me to go to the expense of paying for you to get another structural engineer, then that's something we'll do. Because that foundation, I would bet on that if you would, maybe possibly some of the members of the commission would come and inspect. We had some visitors the other day. They peeked in the window, tried to open doors. They came without announcing themselves. I spoke to several people on the radio asking who they were, whatever. They wouldn't identify themselves. They said they were just looking. And then another person just said, just curious, while they were opening my screen doors. One of them turned the knob and tried to open the front door. I just wonder how that kind of behavior, we're trying to follow the rules, submit whatever application we have. And we have people coming to the door. I'm speaking to them on a Ring camera, and I recorded all of it. So I'm trying to work with the town here. I have health issues that I will have Johns Hopkins verify you from rheumatology to cardiology. And for you to dismiss that as if it's no concern of the commission, I think there's some legal ramifications that potentially you'll have to, because this is for my own home. In fact, as we speak, I just came out of attorney review on another property in Princeton we're trying to develop. That one is something we will develop for either friends or family, or we'll make it a market home. But we also are concerned, without a historical preservation committee oversight, on maintaining some kind of flavor of the community. And so I think the description of what we presented, we're trying to add some elements from the neighborhood, but we are committed to trying to do a design, but we also want to maximize. We have an investment. I put a substantial amount of my personal funds, my life savings into this, and it's going, if you feel you've got to get another structural engineer, then so be it. But I think to just dismiss the conditions, and that's why the time was delayed. And the power, everything was operating until the water company came, and they had.
Yeah, just to further clarify
and
that.
He did not say 4 years.
I'm Mr. Lavin from the quote that said that the property had been vacant for 4 years. That wasn't a hard date at the time when I did the walkthrough with the hygienist who came and looked at the property. I was kind of estimating the date. I knew that no one had lived there since the previous owner had died. I was under the impression it was about 4 years ago. I just recently learned it was a little over 3 years now.
Since the person passed away, since Inez passed away.
And as far as maintenance goes, the reason that I came in on the building when I found that the basement was flooded was because I was sent there to check on things to make sure that the heat was still working, that there were no issues. And then when I came across the water that was pouring out of the meter, that's when I turned everything off, and we've left it off since then. So, the timeline with the vacancy, I may have just been wrong with the years. It was actually 3 years, but we have been doing maintenance since we purchased the property. And
so aside from that, Mike, that's just a mistake or misinterpretation. But I would welcome, instead of people looking through windows or poking at doors or looking at the exterior, I would welcome them. This makes it sound as if the house was inhabitable. I dare anyone to spend the night there that comes in and sees that house. I refuse to have my people working there because it's unsafe conditions. So I don't think that's something that should be taken lightly. I think mold is a serious issue, but the structural condition of the building, if you'll go down there, even a layman can go into that basement and see that foundation. I saw the Robeson house itself on the corner with this Princeton Guild or whoever's working on that, which they've been working on for, I think, 6 or 7 years now, attempt to restore that rubble stone foundation. It's called the Rubble Stone Foundation. They tried to restore it using the original foundation. Then they ended up tearing that all out. This is in the 2 years since I've owned it, and putting in block foundation and then putting the stone on the exterior as a veneer. Look, we're not here to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. We've invested a substantial amount, the carrying costs on it while I was laying in intensive care after 3 visits every week for a period of a month, within a month. That certainly gave me a little bit of a detour. So nobody's intentionally abandoning anything. It's uninhabitable. It remains that way. We're trying to get this thing moving. So we'd like all the help we can get and advice and direction. But it's time now. I feel strong enough to try to pursue the project of being able to build something there that I can live in for the rest of my days. I've been in the area, as I said, for 40 years plus, and it's where I choose to be. We are continuing to make investments in the area. Look, we could use some guidance. If your position is that it doesn't matter. So we'd like to hear what the possibilities are here. If you're saying there's no possibilities of us demolishing that house and I have to renovate it, then we'll have to address that whatever way we can.
Okay, thanks, Joseph. Sarah, I think I'll turn it back to you. You've heard, like I said, that the majority of this is meant to be about the health. So they have been maintaining the building, to Michael's point. So I don't want people thinking we're trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. We're just it's just rehabilitating the building is extremely costly. So we're just here to get some guidance from you guys.
Do we have any comments from the commission before we go to public comment? Or do we want to go to public comment first?
What's your public comment? Let's hear from the public.
So opening public comment. First name I see is Gail. I am promoting you to a panelist rather. Gail, you're muted.
Hello. Yes.
Yes, got you.
Oh, good. All right. Nice to meet all of you. This is my very first time joining the Historic Commission Zoom. I am joining as a Princeton resident. I've been here 35 years. And the reason I'm joining is that just recently, I live on Valley Road. I learned about an approved ADU design that's being developed next to me. So I'm really just joining to educate myself a little bit how this process works, understand what development's going on in our community, because I don't know I haven't seen your design plans, and I forget your name, the gentleman who owns a property, but I commend you for even checking with your neighbors on your design. I think that's pretty unusual. And I think that's really, it's really wonderful. I wish you were my neighbor, because that didn't happen to me. And what I learned, I don't know how big your ADU particularly is, but mine on a 150-foot length lot is 68 feet long, one continuous structure, 20 feet high. So it is surprising in scale and mass. And again, it's going to cover 100% of my backyard. They are facing it towards my yard. So I will have a front door and 6 windows looking directly at me. So I guess for this commission, I'm curious, beyond what this applicant is doing, how do you guys work with the zoning board? And if that's a conversation, Sarah, I can call you and set up a meeting.
Yeah, I think this is better served for a conversation. Also,
That's
Gail,
fine.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm perfectly open to a call and discussion. But based on what I'm looking at on Valley Road, Valley Road isn't a historic district.
Nope, it's not. I
Okay.
didn't know if whatever ADU zoning that I have learned changed in the last couple of years. Again, I'm only a few weeks into this. not an architect, I'm not a builder, I'm not a designer, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a zoning person, I'm not an engineer. I'm just me. So I just wanted to know how the design that you're putting forward, how do I get to see those designs? Because I am curious, because it feels like you're being thoughtful about the design that you're working on. So I really just wanted to, take a look at that for my own
and anything that's brought before the commission or the zoning board is uploaded to the Princeton website per the Open Public Meetings Act. Zoning is, we are not always virtual. We are doing this because of the holiday. We are usually in person, but the zoning board is always virtual. But regardless, all of the meeting materials will be uploaded to the website.
Yeah. All right. No, I think that's really great. But yes, I'm just speaking on behalf of, the public here to try to understand specifically around the ADU, the scale, the mass, the sizing, all of that. So, I'll take a look for that. And then I guess I'll just touch base from time to time when you all are reviewing things. But again, to the Nomad Development folks, I think it's nice that you were checking in with your neighbors. So thanks for doing that.
Gail, thank you for your comments. And I think there are some strict standards about ADUs and there are limitations on what you can do. So that sounds pretty huge. It sounds larger than the home I'm proposing.
I would invite you to stop by anytime. 58 Valley Road. I would love to show you what's happening. Yes. As I understand it, it's the longest one ever approved. So yay for me. Anyway, thank you all. I learned a lot. This was fun. Continue with your meeting.
Right. Thank you, Gail. Sarah, do we see anybody else in the audience?
Yes, I saw Annabelle next, then Yaina, then Louise.
And Sarah, do we know that the person that's admitted is commenting on this concept review?
They
different issue.
They should. I mean, yes.
Yes, no, I'm commenting on this review. I am at 7 Green Street. I am a neighbor opposite 8 Green Street. I'm also a preservation architect, but I'm not speaking in that capacity, although I am very knowledgeable and I follow and meet the Appendix A 36 CFR Part 61 Secretary of Interior Standards for Preservation Architects.
Annabelle?
Yes.
This is Yaina. Do you want me to go first?
You can, yes.
Thank
go
you.
ahead first.
I'm sorry. Right. I put my hand in, but I didn't know when you put yours in. Thank you. I'm sorry, commission. We have a lot to say. We are neighbors, and we've tried to divide this up in the last minute, as I was disappointed that this meeting was changed from Thursday to Tuesday, a day after a holiday, and is only available remotely. So it doesn't give us an opportunity to give you as much information that we have to share with you and our opinion. Anyway, so I apologize. It may be a bit long. I'm not going to do all the citations because Sarah's report was excellent and had several of those pieces in what I was going to say with regard to the historic value. Again, I'm Yaina Moore. My family has owned the house I live in at 19 Green Street for over 80 years. My grandparents and later my aunt owned the property at 28 Quarry Street since the turn of the previous century, before it was sold. Witherspoon Jackson's Historic District was proposed by a group of 8 neighborhood and greater community residents, of which I was one, along with Mr. Newland, who is your council liaison, who was later involved in the sale, as I understand it, of 8 Green Street as a realtor. Until designation about 10 years ago, the Witherspoon Jackson neighborhood was being inundated, subjected to ruthless demolitions, new structures that were not consistent with the character of the neighborhood, and in most cases were built on spec by developers targeting the highest paying bidders. Ultimately, the designation was based on the work amassed by one of your commission members, Shirley Satterfield, about the residents of and historic events within the neighborhood, and the comprehensive data compiled by the WISE report in 2015, which categorized buildings, over 75% of which were contributing buildings. 8 Green Street is one such structure. and noted as number 141, given that all properties were given numbers. It is described as being, and Sarah gave definition, built in 1893, very significant within the period of significance for this district, 1830 to 1969. Historically, met the definition of contributing building and an excellent example of vernacular and gable. By the way, I think the applicant mentioned the two adjacent properties to which he's creating context for any design in the future. Neither are appropriate to have referenced, nor the Dorothea House, which is not a house, by the way, architect. And the two contemporary buildings that he's referenced were pre the designation, the historic designation of this neighborhood. So they do not fit the character of the neighborhood and should not be replicated. The contributing building, site, structure, or object adds to the historic architectural qualities, the historic association or archaeological values for which a property is significant because it, A, was present during the period of significance, as was stated, and possesses historic integrity reflecting its character, and B, that time or is capable of yielding important information about the period, and it independently meets the National Register criteria. The WISE report stated that the takeaway from this in terms of protecting the Witherspoon-Jackson neighborhood from the scourges that I described earlier, vis-a-vis Princeton's Historic Preservation Ordinance, contains many important, the neighborhood contains many important buildings that should be protected together with their subtle historic features, size and massing, lot sizing, proximity, location, and orientation that they create. It's a cohesive setting that may be unique in Princeton, and given the neighborhood's history, the setting is significant. And while perhaps the majority of its individual buildings are not, from a technical analysis, architecturally significant. Just to clarify for the previous commenter, there was no checking with neighbors about any proposed demo or design. We received this information via the website, the municipal website in this meeting. Princeton Preservation Ordinance was already read by Sarah. Thank you very much. With regard to the criteria for gaining approval to demolish a building, and that is if the structure cannot be put to a reasonable use, and its preservation will impose a financial hardship. Lastly, there is a property in this neighbor was not able to attend at the last minute, so I would like to just read this letter from one of your members, former chair of the HBC, Julie Capozzoli, who summarized the foundings of a review of an application for the restoration of 20 Green Street, a comparable property that was vacant for almost 30 years and in a greater state of disrepair of no fault to their new owner. And that report to the zoning board dated August 29th, 2018 stated, HBC concluded their findings and recommendations by again underscoring the importance of this application, that would be considered by your board. Neighbor comments and the commission's findings all agreed that the restoration and new construction plan proposed by the applicants for that property in the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District represents an outstanding vision for the historic district as to how existing structures can be saved and restored without demolition. The proposed application will prominently displays the essence of the original building and retains the historic fabric of the house, which honors the property's place in the neighborhood. And each property in the neighborhood collectively contributes to the significance of the Witherspoon-Jackson Historic District. That owner has compiled a book of the pre-existing condition of, and I'm just going to show you one of the photographs, if you can see. the nature of the interior of that house that had a hole in the roof. So it was getting rain in it for 30 years. And there, are hazmat crews that come in and obviously have to remediate conditions. I'm an asthma sufferer. I know exactly what you're talking about, but there are ways to dehumidify, demold, and reconstruct to create a safe environment. So therefore, in closing, for these and other technical design issues that my neighbor Annabelle, who will follow me, will make, it is inappropriate for the commission to allow for the demolition of 8 Green Street. Thank you.
Thank you, Yana. Annabelle, are you going to pick up from here?
Yes, I will. So thank you for having me. I am, as I said, resident of 7 Green Street, opposite 8 Green Street, and I have met the owner, a very nice gentleman who did, when we first met, promise that they were going to restore the building and move into it. I was delighted with having a new owner who was keen to preserve the building and restore it. I am a preservation architect, and I do meet the Secretary of Interior standards for conformance. So I do have a sort of knowledge base that might be a little higher than local residents. I am representing myself as a local resident here and as a neighbor opposite 8 Green Street. I will say I've reviewed all the reports in great detail. I have to say, since I bought my property in September, a little after you did, I have not noticed one person enter the building. No windows have ever been opened. Nothing has been removed from the property whatsoever, including bedding, fabric, all kinds of materials, all of which in any house, modern or old, would have created a festering environment for mold. I also noted that the mold reports, and while I'm not a mold specialist, I do deal with buildings with mold and with inspections for mold on many buildings. The most recent was the Lennox House, which was flooded after a fire. But we have no mold in that building any longer. It is perfectly removable. It does involve some investment in cleaning, but it could be a perfectly healthy environment to live in, as my house now is, having restored it. It had also been neglected for 3 or 4 years. I would say that the structural engineer's reports are a little worrisome because in 2024, the owner was told there were leaks and there was damage to the building, none of which was remediated. And then with the loss of heating and air conditioning and ventilation, because all the windows remain closed since I have moved into my property, that has all festered and created more of a problem. The structural engineering reports are really very mild. And when we think of our 18 inches of snow this winter rather, last winter, with no signs of detrimental deflection to the building structure, I would really question whether there is any major structural repairs. And as a framing contractor, I'm sure the reinforcement of the existing structure could easily be handled with the expertise you already have in your field. So I think that lack of maintenance, and I hate to say it, demolition by neglect, which is sort of what we're looking at here, I don't think warrants a reason to demolish a building. The streetscape is historically very important, and by adding your building next to a modern building that the residents, to be honest, feel tricked. They were tricked into thinking that somebody was going to move in, and I'm afraid this scenario is now being repeated, so we're very sensitive to this issue. I would be very isolated as the oldest property on the street from 1840, and having meticulously restored the federal style facade to my property, I do not want to look at a modern structure. And it also bifurcates the historic streetscape by removing your historic buildings. So it would be very sad to see a loss of this important historic structure and this streetscape. And I would be happy to talk to you, try and help you and guide you. I think it's very much a building that could be saved and restored, and you could have a very healthy, good life there. And I think you should put an ADU on the back. I'm very supportive of that if that's something you want to do. The rubble stone walls can easily be restored and repaired. And you mentioned next door, I had also advised them of that as well, but they didn't do it at the Paul Robeson House. In fact, I did the mortar analysis for them as a pro bono to help them with that process. They chose not to do it, which was unfortunate. But your building is not in bad disrepair compared to 20 Green Street. And I think if you came and looked at some of the properties that have been restored, like 20 Green Street, and you're very welcome to come here as well, I think you might be inspired to save this building and preserve it. And I hope the commission will consider that. I did do a little graphic of it, if I'm allowed to share that. I don't know, Sarah, whether that's appropriate or not, but I'd be happy to share what your house could look like and what it looks like now, if that's possible.
Please.
You can share it,
Okay.
Annabelle.
Let me see if I can do my share screen, and I'll bring it down to this one. So this is, can everybody see that? No, let me just try again. 1 second. Yep.
There we go.
Yeah. So as you can see, this is the house now. And then what I did was a little bit of AI work here. And this is what your house could look like, which really would be lovely to have. And, I find that people along the street are so proud of seeing the restoration, and people compliment me all the time on the work I'm doing on the house. It's not completely complete yet. I don't have huge resources, but I'm working on restoring. I've got some painting to do this summer. There are also some very good environmental things you can do, like using linseed oil paints rather than plasticized paints, which are environmentally very unsound. So I would love to, collaborate with you, help you in some way. I don't do residential work, but I do a lot of historic houses for the public, and I know what it takes. It is a big investment, but I think you have the capacity to do that, and hopefully the will and enthusiasm to preserve this wonderful streetscape and this lovely street that we have. And I think we can make the building healthy for you. I think the environmentalists can do that. And I certainly have people you could consult on that if you need some help with that. So that's my recommendation, not to demolish the building. It would be a great shame. And I hope the commission will hear our concerns. And I don't know whether Louise is available as well. She was hopefully going to be available, but she may have a music class.
Yes, I see Louise is another applicant. I am going to put Annabelle and Yaina, I'm going to drop you back into attendees. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't think I did that right.
Well, I'm still here.
It moved. You moved on me. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Sarah, do you see anyone else?
I think Louise, you are our last one. So go ahead when you're ready.
Yep, you have 2 for 1.
2 for 1.
This is Ted McClure, and beside me is my wife, Louise McClure.
Can you speak up a little bit? It's a little hard to hear you guys.
My name is Ted McClure. Beside me is my wife, Louise McClure. We have lived at number 13 Green Street since the 1980s.
Right.
And we have also a rubble stone foundation, which we have successfully restored with the help of a masonry company by the name of Panaccio.
I'm gonna turn it off. We're finished, right?
No.
No, someone's speaking. I'm going to mute you guys.
The stone foundation was just irregularly shaped stones piled on top of each other. And we restored that by having a company apply mortar from the inside and also digging a little bit and putting mortar on the outside. But the house has stood successfully for 20 years since we did that. I don't think that's a terrible financial hardship on anyone to deal with that kind of foundation. We see number 8 Green Street from our windows and from our front porch. And it's my opinion that number 8 has the most beautiful front porch on our block and probably among the most beautiful in the entire historic district. So in addition to all the other architectural attributes of the house, that front porch absolutely needs to be preserved.
I just wanted to add that our rubble stone basement does not have footings. And it was
1870,
1868, something like that. There's no structural problems. So if it's solidly built, you don't need the footings. And I think that's probably true for Annabelle's house. It's probably true for a number of the houses on this street. It doesn't have footings, it's just the stone. So that's what I've got to say.
Great. Thank you both.
Given the hour and that I don't think that the commission is ready to accept the idea of demolition and then to review a new house infill. I'm not sure where we go at this point. I think there has been comments that could be useful to the applicant. I think there's a lot of things still to understand. And I also think that some of the tone of the earlier part of the meeting is something that commission members and our council need to discuss. I don't know how else to proceed at this moment. If Lisa or Sarah wants to comment, or if there's a commission member that would like to offer something at this moment, that would be helpful. Okay.
I'm sorry, David. It's Lisa. I'm just looking at the concept review requirements. So, I guess at this point, the commission's role is really, it is very much informal. I would say in terms of the legal issues, obviously, there will be legal questions, and that's just the nature of any kind of demolition request for permission to demolish a historic structure. I will say that, there are standards that Sarah did cite in her report, and those will be employed in reviewing any future application. Sarah reviewed what was before her and has given some preliminary thoughts. And of course, they're not binding. Hopefully they will be useful for the applicant. Obviously, I can speak for myself, and I don't know if I'm overstepping, but the commission's not trying to be difficult or get into a legal battle, but it does have a job to do. And there are standards that the commission will abide by. That said, one of the goals of these concept reviews is to facilitate discussion between the potential applicant and the commission, and it's, at a public meeting. So, a goal is to really start to facilitate that discussion. Is there, I'm just spitballing, and this is, I'm not obviously a commission member, but is there the potential to use the exterior of the building so it's preserved? These are the kinds of questions I think maybe, and I don't know if it's at a future meeting that if the commission wants to carry this, but these are the kinds of questions that it is possible that maybe the parties can engage in. So just because Sarah took what was given to her and made an assessment, but from a very informal and preliminary standpoint, doesn't mean that that's the end of the story, because there are legal standards, and they're in the town's code and that the commission will follow those provisions. So, there's room for discussion, obviously, and because that's the goal of this process. There's no firm decision that's been made because that's not the purpose of a concept review. Concept review is a good opportunity for the parties to start discussing potential. So I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, I don't think, Sarah, I don't know if you've had situations where there have also been subsequent meetings to concept review. I don't know, I think from a legal perspective, the fact that the applicant filed a concept review is a really good thing. And you guys you're not just getting the application without the concept review. And the applicant has stated numerous times that he wants feedback and he wants to have a discussion. And maybe what gets done is going to look different than what is in the concept review. But I think to have a really productive conversation, it'll take both sides. That's, just throwing that out there.
No, I
Melissa,
agree that the concept review is always helpful. I would prefer multiple concept reviews to sort of work this out before we get to the application stage. I will say that another hand went up in the public. If we did want to take another public comment at this time, I'm going to promote Andrea to a panelist. Andrea, if you want to make a public comment, just need to unmute yourself.
She's there.
Can you see me? Hello, can you hear me? Hi.
Yes.
Sorry for the delay. Hi, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I live at 31 Green Street with my family, and I just wanted to just quickly say that when we moved to Greenpoint, Green Street 15 years ago, right? About
21 years ago.
Oh, sorry, close to 21 years ago. One loses track of time, but we watched the metamorphosis of 20 Green Street. And it was a home in terrible disrepair. I know that this was mentioned before, with crumbling steps and water pouring in through the roof for many, many years. My children were little. I was like, please don't play on the steps, you'll get hurt, etc. And it is an elegant, gorgeous home today. And so I feel like that was with the guidance of the commission that's here this evening. It was a win-win situation for everyone. It was a win for the historic, nature of for our whole district. It was a win for the family that built such a beautiful, beautiful home and a big addition to the back. And it's completely with all the best, highest quality materials and modern amenities inside. And so I feel like with 8 Green Street, no one's been there for years. When you go by, it's been a mystery. And I feel that the price point at which it's sold, implies to me that there are resources behind this purchase this could be another win-win situation, and it doesn't have to be sort of a
tear down.
Yeah, just a tear down. People come to our block and they're like, this is so special. They can't put their finger on why the streetscape is so special, but it's special because ever since the whole neighborhood is looking better and better ever since it became a historic district with, there are just, so many materials available today that are both modern, but that in keeping with a certain amount of style and taste, that I really would be really a loss. That I think that house is gorgeous, and it doesn't seem to me like it's caving in or falling apart. And And it does look like, you know, when you're standing before it and you're across from a historic cemetery, and the Paul Robeson house is almost done. And this is a very special place. You can't just do any, you know, I know this was just a concept, and the new owners are saying they want feedback, but you know, I feel that kind of, and I'm not an architect like many of the former speakers are, but that looks like a stone house, that like Spanish hacienda style from suburbia. It completely doesn't match the entire neighborhood. So I hope this can turn into a win-win situation for all concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
I feel like a lot of feedback has been given, a lot of concern about what people are hoping to have on the street. And I feel like kind of pursuing the conversation this evening with the concepts that have been brought to us. I don't know. I don't know where it could go. We could keep discussing things, or
I think, David, the first lift is the I think we heard you guys. I think there's a big push to try and restore the home. I think to Josler's issue is just going to be the health and then the financial cost of doing it. I don't know what that financial, what's the financial hardship? You know, and
So
that's maybe a question.
Andy, I'll take it over from here if you don't mind. I heard
Sure.
many comments on about resources and what's feasible, what's not feasible, what's financially feasible or not. I am committed to exploring, and I think I appreciate the suggestions from Ina and Annabelle and our last speaker, Andrea. So it's not something you take lightly. I think the rendering that Annabelle shared with us was extremely attractive. I'm not set on the concept. I meant that. We invested some time and effort into that. As far as people's assumptions about that's really not anyone else's concern. We're gonna look at what really it'll cost to do this. And you know, when you talk about standards that you're trying to follow, you have standards, and I'm trying to follow them. You can't then just tell me that rubble, stone foundations. I build foundations and I build homes and I build projects every day, and I can't invest more hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars on top of a building without a footing. So there's some basics here, and then there's my health concern is my primary concern. But there is ways to remediate things, but it is a matter of what's really feasible. I would never decide what you people can invest from your pockets or look in your pockets. I don't expect anybody to make assumptions about me. I grew up with an outhouse in my backyard in Monmouth County. I didn't have indoor plumbing until I was in kindergarten. So I'm going to tell you, nobody's going to teach me about what I can or can't spend. What's feasible is for one person is not feasible for another. It's unfair for anyone to make assumptions about any of that. So, but I really do like some of the design ideas, and I would love to create a win-win situation. So it's not something that's going to fall on deaf ears. My architect's on the phone. The foundation is of critical importance to me. The cost of raising a house to build a proper foundation, all of that has to be taken into consideration. I don't have the time. I'm still buying green bananas, but I'm not here going to be doing this stone by hand anymore. So it's something we have to do the proper way to build a proper foundation and to add more and make greater investment on top of it. I appreciate the support for ADUs from some, and then others don't like it. Look, trying to please everyone is a difficult task. We want to please as many of the people, and certainly the neighbors and the people I have to live next to. And I was fully aware that the two contemporaries that are built on the street that do look, I feel also certainly out of place, were built before the HPC took over, and I think in 2016. So I think, it's understandable. You can't be blamed for that being approved or whatever the policy was. I didn't look at this just as a teardown from the get-go. So the jury is not out on it. We've got to go back to our drawing board a bit. But I think I'm also going to be getting legal advice, and I'm going to be getting medical advice, and I've got some people in my team to talk to. So I'm about to be gone for a little while. I have to be, for therapeutic reasons, I'm going out to the desert. That's something I've learned from the ordeal I went through, that I'm not going to sacrifice that for anybody or anything, and I'll do whatever I have to do to protect myself. But that's far greater to me than any investment I'm trying to, and I'm not looking for a house to flip. I've obviously sat on it for 2 years. I want to do the right thing to whatever is a rational, reasonable level of investment. So, but I do appreciate all the input. I even liked Annabelle's design. I'm not married to that, but I built a lot of 80% of Hovnanians, Toll Brothers, all these major developers, Avalon Bay. We built and supplied all the material and lumber for the train station, the apartments there. We built things. We're not the developers. We don't design them. If I only built things that I found aesthetically appealing or whatever, we'd be sitting at home. But the bottom line is, this is my home, and I do want to have rapport and camaraderie with the neighborhood. And I think there is a culture there that's worth preserving. And by the way, Annabelle, your comments about not seeing anybody enter that house, then you must not be there at the right times. We've taken over a dozen full, huge boxes out of just artifacts. And that might have been because of my delay in the curveballs I got thrown to me. I wanted to inspect every piece of memorabilia that came out, because Inez's daughter did not have the time to get in there. The closing was she said she had enough time, but she's elderly herself. So we packaged those. I have a whole bay in a garage here that's filled with some of those boxes, and we still have more to get out. So that's something I may have delayed, but it's certainly not from neglect. And all of the utilities were on until that thing happened in March, beginning of March or end of February look, and those conditions existed there. There was no first floor bathroom, and Inez lived on the first floor for the longest time, right? Was ambulatory, couldn't go up the stairs, I think. And so I'll just leave it to your imagination, and I welcome any members of the commission who want to come in and see the house and the condition, as far as, rather than speculating or having to poke in windows. Happy to meet them. If I can't meet them myself, one of our team meet them. You can take a look inside. We actually are planning to turn over all these boxes. I want to sort through. There's some things I think that would be of great importance and value to the family. So look, however you folks, as you said, and I appreciate Lisa, your comments, and it is a conceptual review, and I do take all the comments to heart. You want to please as many people as we can and try to follow the guidelines, but we have to look at all of our options as well. So I do appreciate your time, and I don't mind coming back with another concept. This is a place I want to spend, call my home. So I want to do it right. You may not believe this, but I've rebuilt a few. I've built many, literally tens and tens of thousands of homes in the last 50 years throughout the state of New Jersey and a couple of neighboring states. I've never designed and rebuilt my own home. It's been redesigns, right? But so this is not something I'm committed to. I think there's always options. The health is the number one concern, and we'll look into this. We have 2 reports on the air quality, right? So anyway,
thank you. Thank you. And good luck on your trip out west to get some good air. And we'll look forward to hearing from you in the future. It's been an interesting evening. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time. Have a good night.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Okay. Sarah, do we have any other items that you wanted to bring up?
No.
I have just one item I would like to bring up that's kind of fun and nice. And it actually goes back to some of the work that Roger and Charlotte and Emily have been working on, just, image and promotion of what historic preservation is, what we do, why we're here. And I noticed recently a very nice repair being made to some damage that happened to one of the gate posts or entry monuments at the Drumthwacket back driveway. And we thought maybe that kind of goes with the story Roger's been preparing on Drumthwacket, maybe a little sidebar that just says, thank you to whoever for getting that done. And that's the only thing I have right now. Does anybody else have anything tonight? I thank everybody for their patience and participation. And is there a motion to adjourn?
So
I'll move.
moved.
Best motion we've ever gotten.
Unanimous.
Motion to take a shower.
Yeah.
I have to walk my dog.
All right. We
All right.
are adjourned. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Have a good night.